Radio's official FA Cup live, covering every game, every goal. Live, SJ Radio.
It's back again, isn't it? The FA Cup 5th round ties now, and we have got for yourself AFC Wimbledon as they take on Millwall. Early kick-off today, Brighton 2, Derby County 1, and yesterday QPR 0, Watford 1. So today AFC Wimbledon, Millwall's just about to kick off, and then at 5:30 Newport versus Manchester City. So let's go straight down to it. 5th round tie, AFC Wimbledon take on Millwall.
SJ Radio's official FA Cup live, covering every game, every goal. Live.
With Millwall in the all orange, playing from left to right as we look. We're left of the halfway line. Wimbledon therefore in the all royal blue. From right to left as the ball is played out towards that far side. They were looking to try and get in Toby Sibic on that far side. The only 19-year-old playing on the left-hand side. And alongside me is Alan Pardew. Are you expecting a tight contest, Alan?
I am. I mean, I'm just looking at the early exchanges, and the pitch looks lively. So it's going to be one of those kind of days where I think as a manager you're hoping there's not going to be an error. Because it's as I say, it's kind of an error-ridden pitch to the way it's opened up. But I think it's going to be a game that's very, very crucial about set plays today, and that will probably be where it's decided.
Well, remember, it's got to be settled on the day. Extra time and penalties if required, although that hasn't been the case in our first two commentaries that we brought you last night with Watford defeating Queen's Park Rangers by 1-0, although Steve McLaren's side gave a good account of themselves. And earlier in our other commentary, Brighton and Hove Albion 2, Derby County 1. As Sibic will come forward for Wimbledon, over on that far side, the left, and gets a throw. Shane Ferguson had gone with him stride for stride as wriggling through. Cross comes in. Oh, they just hit the post. That was through Joe Piggott. It was a cross from the left-hand side by Shane McLaughlin. And Piggott arriving at the near post, right-footed, rattled the near post. What an opportunity.
He should have scored. He got across the centre half and he just didn't quite get enough purchase on it, and he's at the post. It's a great start for Wimbledon.
McLaughlin looking quite lively down that left-hand side, aren't they, with Sibic and McLaughlin on that occasion. Piggott will head the ball forward. Falevi will be beaten to the ball by Cooper, who it turns. He's very tall, he's 6'5", really does stand out at the heart of that Millwall defence. And Sheffield Wednesday have equalised in the 10th minute of added on time in that South Yorkshire derby, and Fernando Forestieri has actually been sent off. He's picked up a second yellow card for an excessive celebration. So Steve Bruce's side down to 10 men, and that will mean that Rotherham United will not be coming out of the bottom three if it stays like that. The 10th minute of injury time in that South Yorkshire derby, and we'll let you know when that finishes at full time as Wimbledon flick the ball forward. Piggott appeared to be being held there by Cooper. McLaughlin plays it forward. We welcome listeners to the BBC World Service, where the League One side Wimbledon have started lively. They've just hit the post through Piggott, and they're attacking on that left-hand side once again, but Sibic might well have given away a free kick, and indeed he did. So 0-0, but Wally Downs, somebody who you know extremely well, Alan Pardew, will be very, very satisfied with the start that his team have made.
They made a good positive start, Wimbledon. You know, they've played mainly in Millwall's half. They've had the first great, and look, the side at the moment, I'm still recovering from the 10th minute of overtime at Rotherham. How must they feel?
And that is in fact the full-time score, so Rotherham remain in the bottom three. It's one win in 18 now for Paul Warne's side, and Sheffield Wednesday get a dramatic equaliser. As here in the FA Cup, we will keep you, we've got a reporter at every other championship game of the 3 o'clock kickoffs. And remember, the other half of the Steel City, Sheffield United are leading Reading by 1-0. But this is the FA Cup, it's the 5th round. And Millwall over on that far side as they play from left to right, have a throw level with the penalty area, goes towards Shane Ferguson, and it's put behind them for a corner kick. Well, Alan, you talk about the set plays being a difference. We're going to see now what Millwall do, and naturally Jake Cooper at 6'5" is a natural target.
And that was a case of the pitch playing a part in that, because his clearance was a bobble when he miscleared it and then he's given away a corner.
So it's a corner kick on that far side, the left. It's floated over, it's floated deep towards Cooper, gets his head on it, and then it's cleared away by McLaughlin on the edge of the Wimbledon penalty area. Romeo plays the ball back out towards this near side. Now Millwall are on the attack. Cross comes in, and the header has been fired in, and Millwall lead by 1-0. And it's Murray Wallace with the goal at the far post. Cross came in from the right hand side. Murray Wallace wasn't picked up, and on 5 minutes puts the Championship side ahead.
Well, it come from the corner. I mean, first and foremost, Cooper is a header on the corner, so it's about the second phase. The second phase, he comes down on the outside on the right hand side, puts a great cross in, and he couldn't have timed that any better, that header, and powered it home. So a fantastic start for Millwall, somewhat against the run of play.
Well, the last 3 wins in the FA Cup, they've gone through despite conceding first, and here they are with the all-important breakthrough. But as Alan Pardew says, somewhat against the run of play in the early exchanges. The first real sustained attack, and it brings a reward of a goal. Let's go to Pat Murphy now at Villa Park.
Just got some interesting cricket news. The England cricket team are losing their assistant coach Paul Farbrace to Warwickshire next month, so Farbrace will miss out on the challenge at home this summer of the World Cup and the Ashes, and England will have to move very swiftly to get a number 2 for Trevor Bayliss, who also leaves in September. This ahead of a crucial summer for English cricket. Farbrace going to Warwickshire.
Thank you, Pat. So some breaking news there for you on 5 Live Sport, as Millwall are 1-0 up, and it's the 750 Millwall supporters who are singing at the moment. There was a shout of a penalty there as O'Brien went down, cleared away by Wimbledon up towards Piggott, and that was well attacked on this near side by Alex Pearce over Piggott in that aerial duel. So Wimbledon have to dust themselves down and try and look for an equaliser. Throw on this near side. Wordsworth goes back, played then by McDonald. Oshalaja has to retrieve it on the edge of his penalty area. Gregor will look to close him down. He punts the ball long away downfield, and Jordan Archer gave the shout through towards Jake Cooper, and through towards the goalkeeper's hands it goes. So 1-0 to Millwall. Rather unusually, normally when we commentate, the dugouts are on this near side, but the dugouts are on the far side. Plenty of vocal encouragement from Neil Harris. Wally Downs at the moment just standing up to the side of his dugout as the orange shirts of Millwall put pressure on this near side, and it's Tyler Garrett who puts the ball out of play, but it gets a deflection of another Wallace, Jed Wallace, and they're not related, as it will be a Wimbledon throw. Interesting now to see how the League One side respond, Alan.
It will be. It's interesting that Piggott has pulled on to Pearce. I think that's probably part of Wally's game plan. He's the smaller of Millwall's centre halves. They're going to try and test him today.
Ball played up towards Falevi. It'll run away from Falevi, who's on loan from Watford. He's only 20 years of age. This is only his 5th appearance in his professional career. He's yet to score. He's going to hope that Piggott is his foil. The big man and the little man act to try and unsettle this Millwall defence. They lead by 1-0. Jordan Archer in no real hurry to take the goal kick. The Championship side lead by 1-0 on BBC Radio 5 Live. Headed forward then by McDonald for Levy, and Romeo heads it out of play for a throw that Wordsworth wants to take quickly, But Felipe, I think, has landed a little bit awkwardly there. He's just hobbling a little bit there as the young striker. As Garrett to McDonald. McDonald swings it across towards that far side, and that was attacked by Murray Wallace, the goal scorer, then played forward towards Piggott, headed away by Cooper, and now threaded forward, given away. Wimbledon helped out by Hartigan to Garrett for Levy. Just rolls away from Romeo, who committed himself and dived in. Felipe now into the penalty area. Felipe still going, tries to thread a ball into the penalty area, but there were plenty of orange shirts back to prevent that ball from going through. Wimbledon though now with Hartigan, maybe he's overrun that, and it'll be a Wimbledon throw. Last touch came off Jed Wallace. Not too downhearted, are they?
No, it's a typical cup tie. There's no real room for anybody to play. You know, it's all very, very tight and awkward in some areas of the pitch, but they're coming back into it, Wimbledon, and showing a good account and a good reaction to the goal.
That goal scored after 5 minutes. Now in the Championship there's been a goal at Bolton. Bolton against Norwich City. Will Perry.
It's Bolton 0, Norwich 1, and the goal has come from Teemu Pukki, his 23rd of the season. A brilliant ball from Marco Stiepermann. The Finn latched onto the end of it. A beautiful turn in the box and smashed it into the top left corner. Bolton 0, Norwich 1.
Norwich City would go back top with a victory after they were humbled at Deepdale in midweek. That's in the Championship. Rotherham United 2, Sheffield Wednesday 2, full time in the 1 o'clock kickoff, and Sheffield United leading Reading by a goal to nil. Chris Wilder's side are really in the thick of that automatic promotion chase as Pearce turns, clears long, headed away by McDonald, headed back then by Williams. O'Brien's little flick. McDonald will get there first with his header, looking towards Piggott, directs the header inside. Pearce will stand still to control the ball, but then the end takes no chances and has to go all the way back to Archer. Not the best of clearances by Jordan Archer, but it's shielded away from Hartigan. Millwall eventually will clear long with Murray Wallace, but it's going to drift out of play towards that far side, and it'll be a Wimbledon throw. It's 1-0 to Millwall, with that goal scored by Murray Wallace, his 4th of the season. There's a slight delay in Deji Oshilaja is going to take the throw, headed forward then and hooked away downfield by Wordsworth. They just try and get it forward at every opportunity, aren't they, at the moment?
It's a bit like a Six Nations game at the moment. We sort of kick it into areas just to get some yardage. But you know, I just feel that it looks so even out there. It really is going to come down to just the moments today. And as I say, Millwall from that first set play, and they've got a chance here. Yeah,
Gregory skipped away from a challenge. He's played the ball in, but it's actually headed back to where it came from by O'Brien. Just couldn't wrap his head around it. Stroked now by Leonard out towards this near side. Williams will help it out on towards the right hand side for Jed Wallace. Leonard goes back out towards Ferguson on the left. Ferguson now with the cross, and that's caught by goalkeeper Aaron Ramsdale. In League 2, Carlisle United 0, MK Dons 1 is a latest score, and in League 1, Shrewsbury Town have taken the lead at home to Burton Albion by a goal to nil. Shrewsbury without a win in 8. They gave a good account of themselves against Wolverhampton Wanderers in the previous round, but they are leading by a goal to nil, which is key if they want to survive in League 1. And that would be a scoreline for Wimbledon supporters, because Wimbledon are bottom of League 1 and some 7 points from safety, although they've got games, including Shrewsbury as well as Rochdale, coming up of teams around them. And Wally Downs was saying that it's a critical period for them. And in fact, Burton have equalised, so it didn't last long. Shrewsbury 1, Burton Albion 1 in League 1. BBC Radio 5 Live and the World Service from the BBC here at Kingsmeadow in the FA Cup, where Millwall are leading by 1-0. And I mentioned those games in the Championship. Just brought you some breaking cricket news, but back to the football. Aston Villa, West Brom, Pat Murphy.
It's 0-0 here, but it could be 1-1. Elphick for Villa, a great tackle on Holgate in front of the Holt end, and then at the other end Abraham should have scored. 1-on-1 fed by El Mohammadi, showed too much to the keeper Johnson. It was scrambled clear. Villa 0, West Brom 0.
Mentioned that excellent result for Preston in midweek against Norwich. They're at home to Nottingham Forest today. Damien Johnson.
It's 0-0, but they've started well, Preston. A really good reaction save from Costel Pantilimon in the Forest goal. A chance down the right-hand side, Darnell Fisher with a cross. It came early to Brad Potts, close range, and Pantilimon stuck out a shoulder, unorthodox, to deflect it wide. 0-0.
Another goal at Bramall Lane. Juliet Farrington.
Another goal for Sheffield United inside the area. 2-0 they lead now against Reading. This time Gary Medine smashing the ball home. Defensively shocking Reading this afternoon. 2-0 Sheffield United lead.
That'll be a 6th straight win at Bramall Lane in the Championship. Millwall have just been awarded a free kick. We're approaching the 15th minute of this FA Cup 5th round tie. Referee John Moss. It was Oshilaja who came over the top of his man to give that free kick away. He's being helped back to his feet. But this is a free kick that might well trouble Wimbledon for a Millwall side. Once again, the big men are going to come up from the back. Cooper's there, all 6'5" of him. They've got Pearce in the mix as well. It's a free kick on the left-hand side. Carlisle have just equalised at home to MK Dons, 1-1 at Brunton Park. So Millwall 1-0 up. O'Brien's in there. You've got Cooper and Pearce. Pearce makes a run round the back. They actually went for goal, but it was a little bit ambitious off target. Goal kick. Alan Pardew.
Yeah, I mean, just looking at Wimbledon there, no one really picking up Pearce. I mean, he's so big. And I know obviously Wally's obviously got somebody in line for him, but from deep free kicks like that, it's not always going to be the man that you got at corners. And he was unmarked there. He's going to be a threat today. He's the will worry for Wimbledon, I think, at set plays.
Alex Pearce, one of the 2 changes that Neil Harris made, because Sean Hutchinson, who's on the bench, isn't 100% fit, as the goal kick is taken for the League One side, who trail. Pigott with a blatant push in the back off Pearce, who we've just been talking about, and that was spotted by referee John Moss. Barnsley are leading Wycombe Wanderers by 1-0. Barnsley, who've won, going very well of late. They've won 5 of their last 6. And with Portsmouth throwing away a 3-goal lead at Roots Hall, Barnsley really can kick on in second place, and they lead Wycombe at Oakwell. Luton, remember, are at Fleetwood, and we have Aaron Paul there to keep us up to date with how the leaders go on in League One. Jordan Archer then goes long downfield. Millwall looking to try and build on the early goal scored by the defender Murray Wallace. As where will we go now? We'll go to Ipswich, Stoke City and Sahel Sahib.
Well, we've played 16 minutes, Ian. It's currently Ipswich 0, Stoke 0. Not much going on the pitch. A lot more action in the dugouts with Paul Lambert and Nathan Jones, and it's really chilly here. And Paul Lambert hasn't got a jacket on. I'm more concerned about him than what's going on the pitch at the present time. Ipswich 0, Stoke 0.
Just mentioned Aaron Paul, here he is.
Yeah, 0-0 here in what's been a balanced affair. Neither side has had a clear sight on goal yet. Plenty of tenacity in the battle though. 0-0.
That's Fleetwood Luton that Aaron Paul is watching, as we'll go into our featured game in League 2, Boundary Park.
Goal next, Sweater next to David Artell. Only Zach Deanley really, a volley from 25 yards which was saved for Oldham, the closest we've come. Oldham
dressed as a Womble, he's slamming his hand. He's got Hayden on the back of his blue shirt on the advertising hoardings. He's trying to get a chant of Wombles going. It's not quite taking off as he's side trailed by 1-0. And that's no chance of him getting cold on a day like that, dressed in that outfit. He's not Uncle Bulgaria, I know that for a fact.
It could be Dennis Wise though, he looks about 5'3".
I'm glad you said that, Alan. Williams with a free kick for Millwall, goes long to the edge of the area, just over the head of Cooper, headed away then by Toby Sibic, and Wimbledon will try and clear. It's put back in by Leonard, but a little bit too heavy, but the goalkeeper was wary of the bounce. As we'll get an update now, Saracens against Leicester with Rob Vickerman.
We're approaching 20 minutes here now. Saracens 5, Leicester 3 points. Wonderful work by Richard Wigglesworth, one of the season campaigners, England international for Saracens. Lots been mentioned about the missing 6, that they've still got some absolute firepower in their backline. Looking every ounce of their success we've seen so far. Saracens 5, Leicester 3.
That's on 5 Live Sports Extra. Hibs lead Hamilton by a goal to nil. Paul Heckingbottom is the new manager of Hibs, and Aberdeen are behind to St Mirren at Pittodrie, also in the Scottish Premiership. 1-0.
System change that Wimbledon are playing at wing backs. Millwall, every time they get 3 or 4 passes, they're doubling up down the sides and causing Wimbledon problems. So, you know, Wimbledon getting at Millwall is becoming to be a bit of an issue. So these set plays are going to be crucial.
That's Alan Pardew, who knows all about the FA Cup, reaching the final 3 times in his career as a player, and of course twice as a manager, as it's a line of orange. Good 6 yards outside the edge of the penalty area for Millwall to try and protect the goalkeeper. It's chipped forward, headed on by McDonald. Little touch there for Levy, but the flag was up on the far side. McDonald, it wouldn't have counted, but as it was, he just couldn't get enough purchase on it with a flick of his right foot.
Well, it was a clever set play. It was a reverse set play. So basically, it was chipped in the side it was coming in rather than on the angle. The centre half did well, flicked it right across the goal, and Flavivo just offside, but perhaps should have scored if he would have been.
The only 2 FA Cup ties where there is VAR in operation, well, one of them has already been used. That was Brighton against Derby. Having his shirt pulled there by Romeo, but it comes off his head and runs out of play for a goal kick. Millwall, who haven't, well, it's the first goal they've actually scored today since they beat Everton in the previous round. They've been struggling for goals, haven't won since then. Murray Wallace's goal is still the difference, and of course it was Murray Wallace who got the last goal as well, with that winning goal against Everton at the Den. So it's a slender lead, 21 minutes played. Wordsworth challenges in the air, comes down to Romeo, hammers it long downfield, volleyed away there by behind McDonald. Ball spending a lot of time in the air at the moment, as the ball now is brought under control by Hartigan, and he comes forward, turns, plays it forward. With the aid of a deflection, it reaches Civic over on that far side. Just can't get past Ferguson, and Shane Ferguson, the Northern Ireland international, looked like he got away. Civic recovered. The two of them, it's a right old scrap, as now Wimbledon will get a free kick. But it's a tussle, it's a battle, it's a scrap. Think of any other words to throw into the mix.
Yeah, it's not the most cultured football you're going to see up and down the country today, but you know, it's committed. You can't ask for anything more. The players are being committed, but the pitch is making it difficult, to be fair to them.
Wally Downs did say that, and he said it could be a bit of a grind, and a game of football might break out. The ball goes long, headed away by Cooper. Ferguson keeps the ball in play, goes long, over the head of Gregory. O'Brien will run to put a bit of pressure on McDonald, but he plays it forward to Garrett, short of the halfway line. Garrett, with his short dark hair, goes back towards McDonald, part of the Coventry City side that did well. Number of, 2 years ago, last season, where Coventry reached the 5th round. And he's since come here on an undisclosed fee in the summer from the Sky Blues of Coventry City. In our featured game in League Two, there's been a goal at Boundary Park. John Akers.
And it's smiles and high fives from Paul Scholes in the home technical area, because it's Oldham 1, Crewe 0, long ball forward. Callum Lang raced onto it. Garrett came out of his goal. He simply had to lob it over the top of him. 1-0.
Well, he certainly made an impact when you consider that they beat Yeovil 4-1 in midweek. Paul Scholes looking to make it 2 out of 2 as Millwall were on the attack. Ball played forward. O'Brien, flag is up. It was a late flag. As O'Brien then just seems to say something towards the Wimbledon supporters behind that goal away to our right. They were clearly taunting him. And it's a free kick to
it's one of those occasions when the linesman is waiting for the striker to get involved in the play. Look, he's late on the flag, and then almost because he's not offsided him, it all causes a collision between the striker and the goalie. Fortunately, they didn't have a coming together, but there were words to the stand.
Well, I know when you were at Tottenham in midweek, weren't you? And the officials for the UEFA games are told to delay the flag. So I wasn't expecting to see the flag for it to begin. Then I've got to switch back to obviously the English officials here. But it was a late flag. Forest Green Rovers leading Yeovil by wide. Just seemed to open up for him as he entered the penalty area. That was an opportunity for the League One side.
Well, he just let him turn. He come short, and Cooper let him get it to feet. He turned, ran at the back foot, and then had an opportunity really to, with his left foot, maybe to have curled it in the bottom corner. But he decided to drill it, and he drilled it wide. But he's the one that's got a little bit of pace in that front line of Wimbledon, Bluevy, and he could be the man today for them.
There's a very small stand over on that far side where we can see the trees stretching back quite a way, and Jordan Archer has just put it back to about the fourth tree as Piggott now flags up on the far side. Piggott tries to muscle his way in towards the penalty area. Falevi then goes to the floor. He's helped up by Leonard. Those two are now squaring up to each other as well. Certainly competitive as Millwall lead by a goal to nil. Will take the free kick from inside their own penalty area, and we can get some racing news now from the Betfair hurdle at Ascot with John Hunt.
Yeah, big prize this one, Ian, and it's been won by the favourite Al Dancer, odds of 5-2 for the father-son combination. Nigel and Sam Twiston-Davis. Nigel winning it for the third time. Al Dancer's won the big handicap hurdle, the 5-2 favourite.
Not too sure whether there's a magnet for that ball on that far side, but Jordan Archer once again has just gone and put it towards that small stand, much to the delight of the Wimbledon fans from his goal kick. But a lot of errors in the game, Alan.
Yeah, there has, to be honest. And when you're Neil Harris, you're the away manager and you're leading 1-0, the last thing you do is your goalkeeper to twice kick it over the stand when you're away from home. So I'm sure there'll be a little word going his way for the next one.
In fact, that word I think is coming from the goal scorer Murray Wallace, who's just having a word there with Jordan Archer. 26 minutes played. Now he surely can't put it into the stand here because he's midway through his own half. Wimbledon fans are getting a little bit excited nevertheless as their side trail by a goal to nil. BBC Radio 5 Live. Our next commentary is at 5:30. Newport against Manchester City. Well, would you believe he hasn't gone and put it to the stand, but he's just going to knock it right the way down the throat of his opposing goalkeeper. His distribution at the minute isn't necessarily the best as the ball is headed into the path of Piggott. It might break to Civic. No, cleared away by Murray Wallace, and you've guessed it with the cheers. It's over that small stand for another throw. There's been a goal at Bolton. Will Perry.
Bolton 0, Norwich 2. Daniel Farke's side going top of the championship, also comfortable for them here. The second goal set up by Pukki this time, who got the first. He pulled it back for Marco Stiepermann, who slotted into the bottom right corner past Remy Matthews. Bolton 0, Norwich 2.
Civic's cross took a deflection and just struck the top of the crossbar. Goalkeeper Jordan Archer had it covered, but he had to be watchful.
Yeah, I mean, Toby Civic down that side, he's got amazing ability with that right foot with crosses. He can be a little bit loose defensively, but going forward he's a handful, and he's got a corner and a great situation for Wimbledon.
Squeezed into this ground that of just under 5,000. Corner kick on the right hand side. Archer's decided to come and punch the ball 6 yards off his goal line. Wimbledon pick the ball up. Hartigan will shoot, cannons away off a couple of players, headed clear then by Pearce. Drops towards McLaughlin, tries to play it through, comes back to Hartigan. Just overrunning it was McDonald, showed too much to the Millwall defence, cleared away. Garrett will head it forward. Williams then on the half volley, lifts it towards O'Brien on this right hand side. Millwall in the bright orange, the all orange, playing from left to right as we look, and now Leonard will stroke the ball along the ground, and we haven't said that on too many occasions on BBC Radio 5 Live and the World Service in these opening 28 minutes where Millwall lead by a goal to nil. And then as it goes long, the blonde-haired goalkeeper Aaron Ramsdale, who's on loan from Bournemouth, an England under-21 international, gathers the ball and will eventually strike it away downfield. Gets plenty of distance on that off his right foot. In fact, the bounce is actually on the edge of the penalty area and straight through to Jordan Archer. That was a mighty old kick from Aaron Ramsdale. Just a reminder from that news that Pat Murphy brought us earlier on, the England assistant coach in cricket, Paul Farbrace, will join Warwickshire as their new sporting director at the conclusion of the West Indies tour. And Mark Chapman will be speaking to him at half time, which is in just over 15 minutes time. Corner kick to Millwall, leading by a goal to nil. Floodlights are on in front of the Chem-Flow end of the ground at the King's Meadow here. It's going to be an out-swinging corner. Ferguson to take it, left-footed, crowd of players aim towards Cooper and out for a goal kick. You'd think I'd be all right with Chem-Flow, wouldn't you? Can't even use the cold as an excuse. But one of those flags that has just caught my eye at the back of that stand that says "We are the Resurrection," and of course the 17-year history, how this club has fought back and has come back through the leagues. It is a remarkable tale, isn't it, Alan?
Wimbledon originally at Plough Lane, and then MK Dons coming out of that and then being reborn again as Wimbledon AFC. It is a really remarkable story and a film in the process, I'm told. Whether right? Vinnie Jones will be in it, we'll have to wait and see.
Well, he's not here today. I remember John Murray talking about him in the previous round when they beat West Ham United, but he's on a film shoot at the moment in Hollywood. So I'm sure that he'll be up, maybe well, who knows, he could even be listening to the BBC. We are on the World Service after all, either that or watching a stream of it somewhere, as his side trail by a goal to nil with just under 15 minutes remaining to half time. Wordsworth's header forward for Levy. That was a push in the back by Cooper on for Levy. He's always going to beat him in the air, so in many respects it's a needless free kick to give away, as it's taken quickly towards McLaughlin on this near side, but Romeo goes towards him. McLaughlin tussles away down by the corner flag and it runs out of play for a Millwall throw in, and they never really took full advantage of getting that free kick.
Yeah, I think Wally would have preferred a free kick in that situation. They decided to take it quick. I mean, he has a little bit of a problem, Cooper, because he's such a big lad. He tends to use his hands to kind of get low, you know, and the boy is so small, he just pushed him. Needless free kick though. And then probably this game, you know, if I was a manager, the last thing you want is set plays. So, you know, it's the team that limits the amount of set plays that's probably going to come through.
That's the voice of Alan Pardew on BBC Radio 5 Live as Coventry City lead Walsall by a goal to nil. Gillingham have now taken the lead at home to Scunthorpe as the ball goes into the penalty area, headed away by Leonard. Aberdeen have equalised at Pittodrie at home to St Mirren. Oshilaja as his shot charged down, runs out towards Civic on that far side, the right, clips over the cross, and Oshilaja has made his run in towards the penalty area, a little bit off balance, couldn't get over the ball, 6 yards out, directs his header off target.
And what a shame, because he had McDonald coming in right behind him, who probably had the better chance if he'd have left it. But it's that right foot of Toby Civic on the far side who's causing a little bit of damage for Millwall, and they're going to have to limit that area, because apart from set plays, that's probably their route.
The only other thing to say for Wally Downs, who was your Alan Pardew's first coach when Alan was still a player at Crystal Palace, is that since his side have fallen behind, Millwall actually haven't created another serious chance, have they?
They haven't actually played well at all, really, since the goal. And sometimes, you know, in these cup ties, You take the lead and you tend to kind of sit on it a little bit, especially away from home, and they've done that. I'm sure Neil would want them to be a bit more progressive than they are.
Forest Green Rovers lead Yeovil Town 2-0 now, so Forest Green are going to revert back to winning ways. Yeovil, they've lost their last 5, might well be 6 on the spin. Is that handball by Williams? Referee John Moss says no, and it's brought away on this near side for Millwall by Jed Wallace, who tries to scamper after it. McDonald goes with him, stride for stride. McDonald will beat him in the foot chase. Good defending by the former Coventry man, and actually keeps the ball in play, and then it bounces off the outstretched foot by Tyler Garrett, and it's completely undone all the good work by McDonald. And Millwall have a throw on this near side midway through the Wimbledon half as Millwall play from left to right. 12 minutes to go to half time. The 1 goal from Murray Wallace is still the difference for the Championship side. Taking his time is Romeo. Goes down the line towards Gregory. Hardly mentioned Lee Gregory. Headed away then by McDonald for Wimbledon. Played forward for Levy. Bounces off his chest, tries to turn, loses out. Leonard now will come forward for Millwall. Teeters down the touchline on this near side. For Levy, though, has gone back to help out the young forward. Plays it. Little flick there by O'Brien. Gregory with his back to goal. Who can he tee up? He's able to turn. Edge of the penalty area. And then he's given the ball away. And Levy will clear up towards Piggott. Cooper, though, with a stooping header back out towards this near side for Jed Wallace. And Millwall attacking on the right-hand side. O'Brien now out towards Romeo. Romeo drifts away from the penalty area. Sustained spell of passing from Millwall, who lead by a 1-0. Williams now to Alex Pearce, just inside the Wimbledon half. Along the ground, Romeo's able to turn out towards Jed Wallace once again with his short cropped hair, bright orange boots. Leonard now, formerly of Southend United. Flag stays down. Gregory makes the run right hand side of the penalty area. Romeo attacks now down towards the byline, sends over the cross. It's a deep ball into the penalty area. Williams will retrieve it just in front of the stand on that far side. To Ferguson now. Millwall really keeping the ball and trying to create that opening. Here is Jed Wallace, but put it over the top of that stand, away to our right-hand side, screwed it well wide off his right foot from the edge of the area, and after all that build-up, there was no end product.
Well, you know, both sides struggling in the league, and you can see that there's not really a lot of confidence on the pitch, but Millwall with the lead, you could just see him getting a little bit of a swagger there with that bit of series of passing, and you thought, oh, okay, maybe something nice and creative will happen. And then Jed Wallace smashes it over the bar into your favourite stand, the Chenlo float end, wherever it is.
Yeah, we won't be mentioning that too many occasions. I think from now on it's the stand away to our right.
Yeah, I did that to even it up.
Goal kick taken by Aaron Ramsdale, punted away by Romeo, and now it's played by Nightingale out towards Civic, who's lively, head down, scampers forward, carries the ball almost level with the penalty area, continues to go, and last touch off Ferguson. Yes, it was. Ferguson, I think, had thought he'd shielded him away, then just out for a goal kick, and then it just touched the former Newcastle United player. Of course, you'll know from your time at St James's Park, won't you?
Yeah, Shane was a young player at Newcastle with me and always gives 100%. He did brilliant there, which is a little bit unlucky that it deflected back off him for a corner to Wimbledon.
So a corner kick to Wimbledon. On that far side, the right, it's floated over. And Jordan Archer, a comfortable take by the goalkeeper with both hands. There's been another goal at Bolton in the Championship. Will Perry.
Well, it's turning into a brilliant afternoon for Daniel Farke's side because Norwich lead Bolton by 3-0 here at the University of Bolton Stadium. The cross whipped in from the right-hand side from Kenny McLean, and there was Max Aarons to turn it past Remy Matthews. You've got Alan Pardew happy next to you. Alan Partridge is happy too. Bolton 0, Norwich 3.
So Norwich City going top, as we will go to Aston Villa and Pat Murphy.
It's 0-0. Good chances to Jacob Murphy. West Brom followed by a terrific tackle by Mings, and then a good save from Kalinic at the other end. The best chance remains Abraham's 1-1 early on that he fluffed. Villa 0, West Brom 0.
If you thought my links for that stand were bad, Alan.
Well.
Free kick to Millwall on this right hand side. Midway through the Wimbledon half, the Championship side lead by a 0-0. Shane Ferguson, who we've just been talking about, is going to take it. It's left-footed. It's an in-swinger. It's deep. Almost goes all the way back to Jake Cooper. Cleared away by Sibbick. And Wimbledon now will push out as we go to Preston and Damien Johnson.
It's 0-0 here, not much entertainment, hard fought really. Forest thought they'd taken the lead through Lewis Graben, who's been lively up front. He turned the ball into the net, but had strayed offside. Preston North End 0, Forest 0.
Pacey cross comes in, and it's headed up and caught by Aaron Ramsdale. It means we can go to Portman Road. Ipswich against Stoke City, Sahel Sahi.
Goalless here as well, Ian, lacking quality as well. Only one chance in the whole half created by either side. Tom Ince with a fizz cross in from the right. Sam Vokes with a header over from 6 yards out. Ipswich 0, Stoke 0.
Coventry City have got a second goal at home to Walsall. They lead by 2-0. Will stay in that division. Aaron Paul's at Fleetwood.
Fleetwood 0, Luton 0. This one has turned into a scrappy affair. Paddy Madden has volleyed the host's best chance over the bar. 0-0.
Remember, in that division, Portsmouth were 3-0 up in the early kick-off, 12:30 at Roots Hall. Chris Powell's side, though, fought back to make it 3-3. Portsmouth missed out an opportunity. We just heard from Luton. Second place Barnsley still lead Wycombe by 1-0. Into League Two, going well for Oldham. John Akers.
Oldham 1, Crewe 0. Paul Scholes as a manager is a rock from side to side off either foot, arms folded with a long coat on. That's the kind of manager he is, and his team are playing well here. They're 1-0 up. Crewe have just had a decent chance though through Paul Green. It's 1-0.
Hibs 2, Hamilton 0. Update from Saracens, Rob Vickerman.
Well, no fashion updates or a score update either. Still 5-3 it remains. Saracens leading over Leicester. You have to go back a calendar year to see Saracens losing at home, but it was indeed to Leicester. It remains deadlock, absolute arm wrestle. Saracens 5, Leicester 3.
Commentary continues on BBC Radio 5 Live Sports Extra. 5 minutes to go to half-time at the Kingsmeadow Stadium here for this London derby between AFC Wimbledon and Millwall. And it's Millwall who still lead by 1-0. They have a free kick just outside the centre circle. Goes long, headed on by Cooper, edge of the penalty area. Ball then is cleared away by Anthony Hartigan. And now with Piggott, he'll try and take on Romeo, but he's caught. Romeo keeps the ball in play in front of the Hayden, the Womble mascot, just standing on the halfway line as he warbles his way towards us. Made by McDonald. Romeo quickly closed down. Leonard pops it off, lays it out towards Jed Wallace, and that's another poor ball by Jed Wallace. Couldn't play in O'Brien and through towards the goalkeeper, Aaron Ramsdale.
Did you say womble then, or wobble?
I think I said the womble was wobbling.
Well, listening to your correspondent from the Saracens talking about an arm wrestle, this is what this game's become actually. Hopefully we'll have a little bit more quality as we go forward.
Yeah, it's attritional, isn't it, between these two sides, as Wordsworth with the left-footed cross headed away by Murray Wallace. And it runs out of play for a throw. Now Nightingale at the back, dark-haired defender Oshilaja back to Nightingale, to McDonald, playing three at the back. McDonald now will turn away from Jed Wallace. Early ball from Wordsworth. Piggott's just dropped off, lays it out towards Sibbick. Better from Wimbledon. The cross though didn't beat the man. It was low and it's cleared away, but it was promising. Gregory did ever so well as he ran into the advertising hoardings, caught his right wrist quite strong in the process. He's shaking that right arm now. Really did run into it at force, such as was the urgency to keep that ball in play. Over on the far side, the left, Ferguson's lost out in the greying skies of southwest London. Now to Hartingen, back to Oshilaja on that far side, plays it forward, gets it back. We've got 3 minutes to go to half time. Ball played forward, Hartigan. McDonald plays it early, looking for the flag against Piggott, and referee, his assistant's flag stays down on that far side. Another goal at Bramall Lane, Juliet Farrington.
Another goal for Gary Medine, making it 3-0 now. Sheffield United against Reading. Another defensive error by the visitors. Medine unmarked in the box, smashed home into the roof of the net. Approaching half-time, Sheffield United 3, Reading 0.
And to Villa Park, where there's also been a goal. Pat Murphy.
To West Brom, and it's gone to Robson Kanu. Cross from Holgate. He went up, a looping header. Not exactly a powerful header. It got over the keeper, Kalinic. Not sure about that one. More importantly, Villa 0, West Brom 1.
Grimsby lead Cheltenham by a goal to nil at Blundell Park, and in our featured game in League One there has been a goal. Aaron Paul.
Fleetwood Town 0, Luton 1. George Monca with a rocket of a free kick around 25 yards out. James Justin with the dummy. Monca smashed it into the back of the net. Fleetwood 0, Luton 1.
Flurry of goals going in around the country. Latest is at Portman Road. Sahel Sahi.
And Stoke have scored. It's Ipswich 0, Stoke 1. James McLean with a goal. Comedy of errors for the Ipswich defence. Header back to the goalkeeper. Goalkeeper allowed the ball to run across his body, and McLean nipped in to score. Ipswich 0, Stoke 1.
We heard from John Hunt at Ascot earlier, and now watching the Grand National Trial handicap chase at Haydock is our correspondent Cornelius Lysett.
Well, I'll tell you what, the winner won't be winning the Grand National. He's not entered. Robinsfirth at 8-1 has narrowly beaten Ramses Deteye into second place, with Chef d'Oeuvre in third place. A thrilling finish, three-way finish to the Grand National Trial at Haydock.
Still lead through that goal from Murray Wallace after 5 minutes, and just a couple of minutes before that Wimbledon had struck the post, as now Gregory manages to wriggle free, then he slows down. They've worked it back out towards Ferguson. Gregory looking to try and turn, does so, strokes it back, and now Millwall with Leonard across towards this near side. Jed Wallace has got Romeo on the overlap if required. Cross takes a deflection, falls to Ferguson, shot charged down, comes back towards Williams, didn't control the ball properly first time, had to have another couple of touches inside the last 60 seconds of this first half, where Wimbledon is trailing by a goal to nil, but Wimbledon now keeping the ball. Almost everybody is back behind the ball for Wimbledon, as now it's with Leonard back out towards that far side. Murray Wallace though is caught in possession, up towards Piggott for Wimbledon, tries to roll away from Jake Cooper and wins a free kick on the way line for the League One side.
Yeah, when Millwall decide to get it down and get a little bit of confidence in their play, they can switch the play and get a 2-on-1 situation against the wing backs, and when they do that they look like they can be effective, but unfortunately it hasn't happened enough. As for Wimbledon, just a little bit of play which would have encouraged, I think, Wally just before half time. They played through the lines a little bit, so it's starting to settle the game from the attrition that we've had for kind of 35 minutes.
And we're about to see how much added on time there will be, and there's just 60 seconds as the board goes up on the far side, and the free kick is not long, and it was Nightingale from the back who couldn't control it, and it runs through to the John Green stand, which might be my popular stand. We are the team that came
like
from nowhere.
Holding up a beer barrel, or is that or is that a cup?
Yards, might have taken the deflection. I feel he should have got it though, but doesn't matter to West Brom fans. Villa 0.
On Moss, where it's Wimbledon 0, Millwall 1, and the goal from Murray Wallace early on, not picked out from across from the right. What is your first half assessment of that, Alan Pardew?
Is a cup tie, so you can sense the adrenaline is high and the quality is low. That's really where we're at with this game. It just improved, I thought, slightly towards the end. That last 5-10 minutes, people adjusting and probably getting used to the game settling down a little bit. I think if I was Wally, I certainly might look for a change here, maybe to the system, because they're not really hurting Millwall enough. Millwall look comfortable. They haven't really had a lot of chances, but it's very, very even, and certainly not one at this stage for sure.
Thanks, Alan. Yep, the best effort for the League One side is when Piggott hit the post early on. But half-time at Kingsmeadow, it's AFC Wimbledon 0, Millwall 1.
Macclesfield have lost I'm very comfortable for Sheffield United. Juliet Ferrington.
It's too easy, Mark. It's 3-0, and even after their second, it all got a little bit boring and predictable. Sheffield United scoring their first inside the first minute, in fact, bundled home by Freeman from Duffy's cross. Then two for Gary Medine followed, both unmarked, both smashed high into the roof of the net. They have given Sheffield United absolutely nothing, Reading, and Sheffield United on this first half performance will never have it as easy as they've had it in the first 45 minutes. 3-0 they lead at half-time.
Goalless first half at Deepdale. Damien Johnson.
Yeah, two playoff chasing sides largely cancelling each other out on a bobbly Deepdale pitch. The best moment, a reaction save from Pantilimon, throwing a shoulder at the ball in unorthodox fashion to deny Potts from close range. Forest came into it as the half unfolded. The lively Lewis Graben turned the ball into the Preston net, straight into an offside position. It's Preston North End 0, Nottingham Forest 0.
Remember, in the early game in the Championship, they finished Rotherham 2, Sheffield Wednesday 2. Sheffield Wednesday equalising in the 10th minute of second half stoppage time, and then having Fernando Forestieri sent off in the 11th minute of second half stoppage time. Ipswich are behind again this afternoon. Sahel Sahi.
Yeah, half-time Ipswich 0, Stoke 1. Not the best 45 minutes either. Clean, nipped in between the defence and goalkeeper and stole in to sneak in the opening goal with 3 minutes.
Are not happy at Villa Park.
Indeed, lucky to get nil. It's 2-0 to West Brom. It could have been so much different. A one great chance, but then they kept going. West Brom, resilience. Holgate booked, having been on thin ice for quite some time. Barry also booked. 2 goals in the last 5 minutes. Holgate's cross. Just a moment ago, if he possessed the right foot he trusted. It's Villa 0, West Brom 2.
Given what happened during the week, we said the next game might be difficult to call. How stupid are we, Will Perry?
Yeah, we are very stupid, Mark. Bolton 0, Norwich 3. Big boos at the break. Norwich going top of the Championship. Daniel Farke's side completely dominant here following their surprise midweek defeat at Preston. Their fabulous Finn, Teemu Pukki, put them in front with a clever turn in the box and finish into the top corner. That is his 23rd of the season. Pukki then turned provider, pulling back for Marco Stiepermann to slot past Remy Matthews and double the lead before Emiliano Buendia sealed the points in the first. Leagues apart, they probably will be next season. Bolton 0, Norwich 3.
Let's go into League 2. Paul Scholes Oldham, as they have to be known, lead at half-time. John Akers.
Paul Scholes Oldham 1, Crewe 0 at half-time, and a goal from Callum Lang, a long ball over the top. Keeper came out, Rob Garrett, into no man's land, and he just chipped the ball over him, lobbed the ball over him for 1-0. They've been good though. Paul Green going closest for them, but Paul Scholes Oldham lead by a goal to 0.
Thank you. Let me give you the other League 2 scores in the early game. Shock here. Notts County, bottom of the table, beat Mansfield in second by a goal to 0. Craig McHale-Smith got that goal, so it follows on the back of their win over Forest Green Rovers last weekend for Notts County. Tranmere 0. Forest Green Rovers 2, Yeovil 0. Christian Doidge has got one of those goals, 8 for the season for him. Grimsby lead Cheltenham by a goal to 0. If they win that, Grimsby, means they've won 4 on the trot. Lincoln, who've drawn their last 3, are being held again, the leaders, goalless at home to Stevenage. Macclesfield, or maybe it should be Sol Campbell's, Macclesfield 1, Colchester 0. As I say, Scott Wilson's 10th of the season. They're goalless between Northampton and Crawley, and also between Port Vale and Morecambe. Let's do
has been a seriously scrappy affair for the majority that really failed to spark until 4 minutes before the break, where George Moncur stepped up to smash home a long-range free kick that beat Fleetwood keeper Cairns hook, line and sinker. Fleetwood 0, Luton 1.
The early game in League 1 finished Southend 3, Portsmouth 3. Portsmouth had been 3-0 up, but a Simon Cox hat-trick for Chris Powell's side earned them a point. In the 3 o'clock games, Barnsley 1, Wickham 0. Corley Woodrow on loan from Fulham has got that, 12 for the season for him. Goalless between Bradford and Plymouth and Charlton and Blackpool. Coventry lead Walsall Scunthorpe 0, goalless between Oxford, who've won just one of their last 12, and Peterborough, and it's Shrewsbury 1, Burton 1. Tyrese Campbell got the goal for Shrewsbury. The interesting thing there, he's Kevin Campbell's son. Opta tweeted out, it's his first Football League goal, and it comes 13 years and 5 days after his dad Kevin got his last. Bromley 1, Maidstone 0, Dagenham and Redbridge 0, Gateshead 1, Eastleigh 2, Braintree 1, goalless between FC Halifax and Aldershot, Harrogate 0, Ebbsfleet 1, Havant and Waterlooville 1, Wrexham 0, Leyton Orient are being held home by Maidenhead, it's goalless there, Salford 1, Dover 1, leaders Solihull Moors are behind at half-time, Tim Flowers' side trail Barnet by a goal to 0, and it's Sutton 0, Barrow 0. In Scotland this afternoon, Aberdeen 1, St Mirren 1, although I think they're still playing at Pittodrie in the 10th minute of stoppage time there. Hibs 2, Hamilton 0. Livingston are down to 10 men, but they lead Dundee by a goal to 0. And goalless between Rangers and St Johnstone. In the Championship, Alloa 0, Partick Thistle 1, Dunfermline 0, Inverness 0, Morton 0, Ayr 0, Queen of the South 0, Dundee United 1, and Queen of the South down to 10 in that one. In League 1, Airdrieonians 0, Brechin 1, Montrose 1, Forfar 0, Wraith 0, Arbroath 1, and goalless between Stranraer and Dumbarton. Clyde 1, Albion Rovers 0 in League 2, Cowdenbeath 2, Annan 1, Elgin 1, Stirling 1, and it is Peterhead 1, Queen's Park 0. You're up to date with all the football scores. Let's bring you more now on the news that Paul Farbrace is leaving England's cricket setup to join Warwickshire as sporting director. He's currently obviously number 2 to Trevor Bayliss. He joins us now, I'm delighted to say, live from the Caribbean. Afternoon, Paul.
Afternoon, Mark.
A difficult decision given the year ahead for England with the World Cup coming up and the Ashes?
Yes, definitely. Yeah, it was a very difficult one, and it's been quite difficult this morning telling people as well. I mean, it's been quite an emotional morning, I'll be perfectly honest. It's a huge year in terms of English cricket, but timing doesn't always work out exactly as you want it in sport, unfortunately.
Do you do a lot of deliberating before making the decision?
Definitely, yeah. I mean, it's a fantastic opportunity for me personally to go into at Warwickshire. It's a huge club with a magnificent setup, but to come away from the England's team on the edge of a World Cup that we've all worked incredibly hard towards is going to be difficult. But it doesn't stop me obviously wanting the team to be fantastically successful and raise the World Cup this year.
I suppose it's a different role, isn't it, as sports director or director of cricket? Does it take you away from the coaching a little bit?
It does, yeah. It's not quite so hands-on with coaching. So it's right across the pathway involving men and women's cricket. That's why it's sport director rather than director of cricket, because it covers the whole pathway right the way through from age group through the academy into the first 11, and then obviously women's cricket as well. So it is a wide-ranging job, which is what really appeals to me. And a lot of the jobs that I'm sort of overseeing, I've done in the past at various places. So it's a great opportunity to use the experience I've gained and hopefully put it to good use.
So is the main reason for doing it then, it is a different challenge and actually will call on different skills, I suppose?
Yeah, definitely. And that's, I think, the time is right for me to move on from international cricket. Ideally, it would have been at the end of the summer rather than at the beginning of the summer. But, I think the time is right. I think, I've been on the road with England for a period of time, and it isn't something you can do half-heartedly. You've got to be 100% with it. So therefore, I think it is the right time for me to seek a new challenge. And, this is it's a wonderful opportunity for me, as I say, at a great club. So I'm looking forward to getting started.
And did you talk to Ashley Giles about it? Because obviously he's come into the ECB as director of cricket, having been previously Warwickshire's director of cricket or sports director. I don't know which title he was. But then, of course, if you talk to him about it, you have to then let him know that you're going for it.
Absolutely. Look, I've always been very honest and upfront with the ECB. I was with Andrew Strauss before when opportunities came up, and of course I was. As soon as I had spoken to Warwickshire, I did speak to Ashley. He just literally left there. That's how the vacancy was created. So, and cricket is a very small world. There's no point trying to, kid anyone. So I was very honest with him. I told him the situation, and I've kept him abreast of the situation for the last 2 months while the process has been going on. So, that's why we've been able to, quickly come to the right and amicable way to bring this to a conclusion.
Well, you've always been very open with us as well, Paul, so I hope that continues. We wish you all the best. It's a fantastic challenge. Congratulations.
Thank you very much, Mark.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Paul Farbrace, who is going to leave England cricket as number 2 to Trevor Bayliss and take up that role at Edgbaston as sporting director. Coming up to exactly 4 o'clock on 5 Live. We'll be back for the second half of AFC Wimbledon Millwall in just a moment. The Championship side leading by a 1-0. But first, here's the latest BBC News with Victoria Meakin.
On digital, BBC Sounds, smart speaker and online.
This is BBC Radio 5 Live. A visit to China by the Chancellor Philip Hammond has been called off, reportedly because comments made by the Defence Secretary angered officials in Beijing. Earlier this week, Gavin Williamson suggested the UK may send an aircraft carrier to the Pacific, where China's involved in territorial disputes. The American Vice President says US forces will keep hunting down members of the Islamic State group, even after they've captured their last stronghold in the Middle East. Mike Pence has been speaking at an annual security conference in Munich. Meanwhile, the family of a teenager who ran away to join IS in Syria, aged 15, are asking the government to let her come back to the UK. Shamima Begum, who is now 19, is heavily pregnant. A man's been remanded in custody after appearing in court charged with the murder of 3 men in their 80s in Exeter. 27-year-old Alexander Lewis Ranwell didn't enter a plea and will appear at Exeter Crown Court on Monday. And thousands of criminals in England and Wales will be tracked via satellite. The Justice Secretary has announced the national rollout of GPS tags, which provide 24/7 monitoring of offenders.
This is 5 Live Sport with Mark Chapman.
Let's go straight to John Hunt at Ascot for the conclusion of the Betfair Ascot chase.
And what a day this is for Paul Nicholls. His runner here, Surname, absolutely thumping a high-quality field. He's crossed the line now, some 15 lengths clear of the favourite, waiting patiently. Fox Norton, Politologue well beaten off, and Charbel as well. That now is 6 winners on the day for Paul Nicholls across the country. He's won earlier today with Clan des Obeaux. This big race with Surname at 3-1. Ordinarily, you'd think it'd be an absolute cert to run at Cheltenham, but they reckon he doesn't like that track, but they may have to think again. Surname continues. Paul Nicholls' wonderful day.
Thank you very much, John. So it is Brighton 2, Derby 1 in the early game in the FA Cup. AFC Wimbledon 0, Millwall 1 at 3 o'clock. Going for the second half shortly. Then at 5:30, we're going to bring you Newport against Manchester City. Jonathan Pearce doing this game for Match of the Day later on. Looking forward to this.
Oh, yeah, there's a terrific atmosphere around. 9,785. It's going to be a football record for the ground. They queued up for hours and hours, Newport fans, to get their tickets. And Michael Flynn, the coach, has said it is a surreal and extremely proud moment for his football club to be hosting Manchester City. The pitch, of course, Chappers is going to play a massive levelling effect. I was here when England women played Wales in August. They relayed it. It was lovely that day. It's horrible now. It's about as threadbare as my old Barnet, I have to say. There's bald in patches. And it's not looking very good. But one thing I have noticed, when the England women were here, Phil Neville said to me his players struggled to hit balls to length because the advertising hoardings were so far back behind the goal line, because it's a rugby pitch, of course. They've actually moved some advertising hoardings closer to the dead ball line. Maybe that'll have a slight difference, I don't know. But Manchester City, of course, come here with all the pedigree, all the star names, and he says, Michael Flynn, that if his team beats City today, it will be the greatest shock in FA Cup history.
They do, but City will be wary of, what's happened to Leeds or Spurs or Leicester or Middlesbrough. It's more than a fluke what they've done, Newport.
And remember what happened to City last season at this stage at Wigan. Yeah. And they are wary of that painful memory as well. He will make changes because they play Schalke in the week in the Champions League. But the sort of players he might well bring in, Leroy Sané at £37 million, Riyad Mahrez at £60 million. Newport's record signing is a £30,000 goalkeeper. Who comes with such a story, of course? He ran off the pitch when they beat Middlesbrough because his wife, Lizzie, was delivering the twin girls. They're 10 days old now. We gather they're all going to be here today, and their 20-month-old little boy, Harrison, is going to be a mascot. So they have all these romantic stories waiting to be written again, Newport County, and you just never know on this pitch. Manchester City, cold, black and white, and in the light of day, should win. We know that. But then Tottenham should have won here comfortably last year, and they didn't. And Middlesbrough should have beaten them over 2 legs, and Leicester should have won here. So you're quite, anything could happen.
Jonathan doing it for Match of the Day. John Murray and Kevin Kilban doing it for us. Full commentary from 5:30. I said Corley Woodrow had scored for Barnsley earlier, and he was on loan from Fulham. Paul Wake tells me on Twitter that deal was a permanent one made in January. So I'm happy to correct myself. Back to Ian Dennis.
And we've had a change here as the game is underway, and it's a change for Wimbledon, where Andy Bartram has come on and he's replaced Tyler Garrett. I don't think it's going to change the system, the way that Wimbledon are playing. He's operating still on that far side, the left, as a left wing back, as McDonald turns. Couldn't head the ball back because Lee Gregory had cut that out. His anticipation from Lee Gregory was good. Wimbledon play the ball forward for Levy. And in this second half, AFC Wimbledon in all royal blue, playing from left to right as we look just left of the halfway stand. I'll run through the two teams for you, because Wimbledon have just been awarded a free kick almost midway through the Millwall half, who are all in garish orange, as there is now some applause around Kings Meadow for a supporter who recently passed away by the name of Lee Avis. Huge fan of AFC Wimbledon, real character, larger than life, and that is why everybody is standing up around us and applauding in memory of Lee Avis, who sadly passed away at the age of 47, and the applause in the 47th minute. So for the free kick, goes deep inside the penalty area and caught by Jordan Archer. So for the two teams, Aaron Ramsdale in goal for Wimbledon, a back three of Rod McDonald, Deji Oshilaja and Will Nightingale. Andy Bartram now playing on the left, Toby Sibbick on the right. In midfield, Anthony Hartigan, Shane McLaughlin and Anthony Wordsworth, and the two up front are Joe Piggott and Michael Falevi. For Millwall, they have Jordan Archer in goal, a back four of Romeo, Cooper, Pearce and Murray Wallace, as a cross comes in from the right hand side. Murray Wallace, who's got the goal. Jed Wallace is on the right hand side, Ryan Leonard, Sean Williams and Shane Ferguson, Aidan O'Brien and Lee Gregory. Alongside me is Alan Pardew. And what do you think that Wally Downs would want from his side in this second half, Alan?
Well, I think he just wants a bit more, I would expect, a bit more impetus in the midfield, because, you know, it's bypassed them to a large degree this game. And a little bit more composure from his players at the back to actually take a touch and find a pass rather than just hoof it forward. So a little bit more controlled play, I think, all round from Wimbledon.
Alan Pardew on 5 Live and the World Service, as Wimbledon have a throw on this near side. Oshilaja is going to take it. Not quite level with the penalty area, but he'll get will he get the ball back? Yes, he will. He combines. McLaughlin then turns, sends over the cross. Piggott was just trying to get away from Alex Pearce. Comes back out towards Wordsworth, strokes it. McLaughlin's time to measure over the cross, takes a deflection, cleared away by Cooper. And then this time it's Leonard who puts the ball out of play for a throw. We'll go to Bramall Lane. There's been another goal. Juliet Farrington.
Deflection here, Dano, as well, and it's advantage Sheffield United again. 4-0 now they are against Reading. It was John Fleck from outside the area, took a shot, took a massive deflection and into the back of the net. 4-0 Sheffield United lead.
And remember, Norwich City going well at Bolton, leading by 3-0, and West Bromwich Albion also looking for automatic promotion, 2-0 up at Aston Villa, the last we heard from Pat Murphy. So we'll keep you up to date with those games in the Championship on 5 Live and the World Service. As here in the FA Cup 5th round, Jed Wallace tries to release Romeo, cut out though by Bartram, the substitute, now out towards Falevi. Falevi will run forward, making a strong run to the edge of the penalty area. The shot now with Bartram, just couldn't get it away as he turned into trouble in the shape of Alex Pearce, kept in play over on that far side. They'll come again. Hartington out towards Bartram, looking to make an impact, sends over the cross and takes a deflection and loops behind. Positive start to the second half.
Well, Wally's substitute certainly made a difference. He looks like he's got energy, he wants to come on and make a difference. And as a manager, that's what you want your sub to do, to change the game, and he's done that. Couple of lovely runs. He's earned a corner here.
And it's going to be taken over on that far side by Anthony Wordsworth, who will make his way over. Quite tall, short, brown hair, places the ball down. It's going to be an outswinging corner, this, as Colchester have equalised at Macclesfield, 1-1. In fact, he's rolled it short. What a waste. Straight towards Ferguson, who's able to break to try and release Lee Gregory, but it goes out of play on that far side in front of that small stand where the dugouts are here at Kings Meadow. And Wimbledon with Bartram, but he'll leave the throw-in duties for McDonald. So our next commentary, our third commentary of the day, is on its way. Newport County against Manchester City. We're getting the team news from our correspondent John Murray when it's in from South Wales, as McLaughlin helps it across to Civic. Civic now edge of the area, goes down the right hand side, checks back inside onto his left foot and goes for a curling effort, but it was always rising. They were appealing for a corner, but not being awarded by referee John Moss, and it will be by a goal kick. You could see what he wanted to do, but it was never going to trouble the keeper.
No, but at least Wimbledon have got players in wide areas with pace now. Toby did well in the first half down this right hand side, and Bartram down that left hand side. So obviously a change of tactics from Wally to try and get the ball wide and get some pace and some deliveries into the box. I mean, the lad Piggott, you know, he has been a handful today, but he's been well dealt with so far by the two centre halves of Millwall, Pearce and Cooper, and for Neil Harris, he'll be looking for them to do that job on him.
Strong connections from the AFC Wimbledon manager Wally Downs with Alan Pardew, who was part of Alan's coaching staff when he was in charge at Southampton. As a looping header, Ramsdale was quickly off his goal line, the fair-haired goalkeeper for Wimbledon in all green, away to our left-hand side, and just had to watch the bounce of the ball and caught it as Gregory raced towards him. Clears it away downfield. Again, plenty of distance on that, but Cooper will beat Piggott in the air, but his header runs out towards Bartram, the substitute, on that far side. And played back by Leonard, little flick by O'Brien, but Gregory hadn't seen that. Gregory, who's normally a willing runner, wasn't prepared to chase it, and now Nightingale. Oshilaja. Hartigan plays it back to Oshilaja. Gregory will put pressure on him. Nightingale will come forward now for Wimbledon. Still one goal the difference in this FA Cup fifth round tie, and you remember it's got to be settled. So should they equalise, it would indeed go to extra time, as Cooper sees a ball cut out by a sliding for Levy, and it will be a Millwall throw on this near side, as was the case here and will be the case in South Wales as well. There will be a minute's applause to remember Gordon Banks, and in fact tomorrow on Sports Week, where I think they might well be hoping that Michael Flynn will be a guest with Gary Richardson, they will be replaying an interview that Gary did with Gordon Banks for his 80th birthday just over a year ago. That will also feature on Sports Week tomorrow between 9 and 10 on BBC Radio 5 Live. Piggott back to Civic, who's going to come forward, loses the ball just on the edge of the area, taken over now by Hartigan, goes for a curling effort, but the referee's whistle I think had already blown. But there are positive aspects of this Wimbledon performance now in the second half to cling to. I know we've only been playing for 8 minutes.
It's always that thing in the cup, you know. You obviously it's the cup. It's not like it's everything is on the line. So you might as well go for it. And Wally has made a good change at half time. That seems to have at least psychologically lifted the team, and they look better for it so far.
Only the fifth ever meeting between these two clubs, separated by some 14 miles. Millwall haven't lost yet. They've won 2, they've drawn 2. It includes a first round tie back in 2009. Neil Harris was still playing, but Wimbledon then were still a non-league side, which just again reinforces what a rise it has been through the divisions for AFC Wimbledon, as Wimbledon have been awarded a goal kick on that far side. Nightingale doing some good defending, as there's been another goal in our featured game in League One. Fleetwood against the leaders Luton, and Aaron Paul.
Fleetwood 0, Luton 2. Pelly Ruddock with a speculative effort, left hand side, 25 yards. He's drilled it in towards goal, and Alex Cairns has got a bit of the Massimo Taibis about it. He's got down and let it through his legs. Shocker for the goalkeeper. Pelly Ruddock absolutely delighted. Fleetwood 0, Luton 2.
So Sheffield United are leading Reading 4-0 as Gregory comes forward here for Millwall. He's going to lay the ball into the path of O'Brien, and O'Brien can't poke it past Ramsdale, who makes the save. Thought he'd miscontrolled it at first, O'Brien, and then Ramsdale, as it was poked towards him, made the save low towards his left.
He got out-muscled there, and Gregory did well for Millwall. He squared it, and perhaps he should have took it first time. I think he would have scored, but he tried to get it back onto his right foot, and then by that time the chance had gone.
Levy goes down just outside the area, but the referee John Moss has already brought it back. We'll quickly nip to Villa Park and Pat Murphy.
It's still Villa 0, West Brom 2, but Villa have changed the keeper. Kalinic, who picked up a knock in the first half, might have something to do with conceding those 2 goals. He's been replaced at half-time by Steer. And just now McGinn, such an influential player, booked again. That means a second suspension of the season for McGinn. Villa 0, West Brom 2.
Remember, Sheffield United 4-0 up against Reading, and Norwich going top as they lead at Bolton by 3-0. Earlier, Steve Bruce's side battled back in the 10th minute of added on time to equalise 2-2 in the early kick-off in the South Yorkshire derby at Rotherham. Free kick to Wimbledon. McLaughlin to take it, goes deep right down the throat of goalkeeper Jordan Archer, and that was a comfortable take for the Millwall goalkeeper. 11 minutes into the second half. He'll bide his time and eventually clears the ball away. The draw is on Monday night. BBC One, of course, BBC One will bring you the game at Stamford Bridge, the tie of the round, Chelsea against Manchester United, and the winners of this tie will be ball number 2 in the quarter-final draw. And that was when, before we came on air, you were telling me that that's when you first start to get a bit of a sniff that it might be your year, as Archer has put the ball over that stand on the far side again.
Yeah, I mean, you know, the funny thing about the Cup, you kind of get a big result somewhere in one of the rounds and you suddenly feel it's your turn, and then you get another break with the draw, maybe you get a smaller team at home, and then you do think it's your moment. By the time you get to the quarter-final, all the teams think it's their moment, so, you know, it's...
Well, Millwall, they've reached the 5th round 5 times since the turn of the century, and that is more than clubs such as Newcastle United. Or they were to, they would have won more ties in the FA Cup since 2004 than any other side outside of the top flight. I mean, they have got a very good record of late, Millwall, in this competition.
Well, that's a very good record. I mean, I wasn't aware of that, but you know, when they went all the way to the final that year with Dennis Wise many years ago, we mentioned earlier, he wasn't in the mascot suit. I found out at half time. He'll thank me for that in his own special way.
Yeah, I'm sure he will. Alan Pardew with us here for the BBC 5 Live and the World Service, where that goal scored after 5 minutes is still the difference. That Murray-Wallace header. Piggott could have given Wimbledon the dream start just by a matter of inches, but his close-range effort struck the post. Both managers trying to get their instructions across to the 2 respective teams as the ball has been played forward, headed out of play by Romeo, and all of a sudden Anthony Wordsworth, the midfielder, will come forward now to take the throw, and in fact he'll leave it now to McDonald behind him on that far side as we approach the hour mark, and AFC Wimbledon playing from left to right. Ball cleared away downfield by Jed Wallace. Shilaja has skied that one, sliced it, drops on the halfway line. Nightingale will head it forward. McLaughlin brings the ball under control. Head down. Good control first of all by Bartsham. Infield for Levy. Cut out though by Ryan Leonard. And Leonard now will play the ball forward towards Gregory. Gregory in front of the Millwall dugout, back towards Jed Wallace. Up now to O'Brien. They've tried to hold the ball up, and now it's with Wordsworth, and across towards that far side. McLaughlin laid off by Piggott. Wordsworth now helps it on its way towards Bartsham. Bartsham on the left hand side, level the penalty area. Cross is blocked, out of play, it goes for a throw. Wimbledon want to take it quickly, still on that left hand side. Let's quickly go to Bolton. Another goal. Will Perry.
Teemu Pukki has to be the signing of the season. Bolton 0, Norwich 4. What a goal. Takes down the long ball, one touch, lob over Remy Matthews, his second of the afternoon. Norwich going top. Bolton 0, Norwich 4.
Hooked forward, caught by Archer. Yes, going back top in style. Norwich City at the top of the Championship. Let's get an update from Deepdale with Damien Johnson.
Preston 0, Forest 0. It remains. Jayden Stockley off the bench in the second half for the home side to offer a bit more of a muscular presence that they missed in the first half. Early chance for Preston in the second. Brad Potts with a control on the chest and a volley over the bar. 0-0.
Just going back to the FA Cup, a reminder you can watch every goal from the fifth round on the BBC Sport app or the website, or indeed the red button as a little on through those devices, BBC Sport app, website, or the red button. Of course, Brighton 2, Derby 1, joining Watford in the hat for Monday's draw. Millwall will be joining them the way it stands. We've been playing now for an hour, and it's got themselves a free kick. It's diagonal, struck towards Cooper. Here is Gregory. It's going to come back towards Cooper, and Cooper tried to place it right-footed on the edge of the area. It was a dipping effort just wide.
Well, technically Cooper, who is a 6'5", by the way, is really decent, and that fell to him on his right foot, and I thought that was going to curl in.
Yeah,
it only just missed in front of our favourite stand, the John Green stand.
I think a couple of Premier League clubs are looking at him. I know Stephen Gerrard's Glasgow Rangers were trying to sign him at the start of the season. 6'5". He'll score a few goals as well. As here is for Levy. He gets a snapshot away, round knee height. He was on the run, central area, but Jordan Archer made the save. We'll go to Portman Road, Ipswich Stoke City. Sahil Sahi.
Well, Ipswich still trails Stoke, Ian, by a goal to nil. We've played an hour now, but much better from the side, who are currently at the foot of the Championship. They had a first effort on target. Alan Judge with a free kick, 20 yards out, right to the D, up and over a four-man wall, well saved by flying Jack Butland. Ipswich 0, Stoke 1.
Forest Green Rovers now lead Yeovil by 3-0. That's in League 2. This is BBC Radio 5 Live here at Kingsmeadow, where Wimbledon are still looking for an equaliser, maybe to take us into extra time. At 5:30, our next FA Cup commentary. Newport against Manchester City is on its way. See if Michael Flynn can pull off the greatest shock in the FA Cup, as Piggott will shield the ball away from Cooper, plays it out towards this near side, but it's behind Toby Civic, and it's out for a throw to Millwall. And tomorrow, two more commentaries. Bristol City Wolves from 1, Doncaster Rovers against Alan's old side Crystal Palace at 4. And we'll also keep you in touch with Swansea against Brentford, Chelsea Manchester United Mondays live on BBC One, and then the Champions League once again back on 5 Live next Tuesday and Wednesday. Liverpool Bayern Munich from Anfield on Tuesday night, Schalke against Manchester City on the Wednesday. And a change is being made here. Piggott is coming off, so let's get an update from John Akers at Boundary Park.
Paul Scholes, Oldham 1, Crewe 0. He's just made a change actually. Baxter's come off, Silla is on his way on. He's standing hands in pockets nervously because Crewe have been better second half. They've had 9 efforts on goal in the game, but Oldham leading through that first half goal 1-0.
And let's get an update from the Rugby Union. Saracens against Leicester. Rob Vickerman.
Just 20 minutes remaining. It's Saracens 8, Leicester 10. Real flat liner in the first half. Jonah Holmes sparking a little bit of a pulse as the last play of the first half. Pretty much similar in the second half. It remains Saracens behind 8 points to Leicester's 10.
And that's on 5 Live Sports Extra for commentary. So Anthony Hartigan has made way. That was one of the changes, with Mitch Pinnock coming on to replace him, and Piggott has also has gone off, and we'll bring you news of who's come on for him with that substitution, that double change made by Wally Downs. But Pinnock has gone up alongside Levy for the time being, and here is in fact the other substitute who was caught there, and that was Dylan Connolly who's come on. And straight away he was clattered into. So referee John Moss is just having a word there. So Dylan Connolly has come on, and Mitch Pinnock, who's scored 4 goals this season. 4-4-2. So that's the tactical change that they've made. So. Don't think he showed him a yellow card there, did he, Alan?
No, I don't think so. But Millwall have definitely gone to a 4-4-2 here. They kind of matching Millwall up now, so it'll be interesting to see if he can create a bit more pressure with his system.
And Millwall now making a change on that far side. Aidan O'Brien has gone off. And Tom Elliott, who's come on, a former Wimbledon player, he got a nice ovation when his name was read out, one of the substitutes. He was here for a couple of seasons, was Tom Elliott. 19 goals in 91 appearances he made. As Murray Wallace turns, gets it back from his namesake Jed Wallace. Ball played forward by Williams. Struck that a little bit lazy, didn't he? A little bit too nonchalant from Williams.
Well, you could say that. If I was the manager, I'd be saying something a little bit harsher. Should have taken a little bit more care there. But I quite like the look of Wimbledon. If they could just, create some pressure, win some free kicks, win a few more set plays, there's a chance here for them.
Ball played forward, still very much in this cup tie, only trailing by a goal to nil. Ball played downfield, bouncing ball. Pinnock though loses out to Murray Wallace. Tries to battle back, they've worked it out towards this near side, the left. Here is Ferguson. Ferguson now to Gregory. Nice take into feet as he turns. Central area. Oshilaja though takes him off the ball and gives away a free kick in a central area. Direct free kick, central position. And referee John Moss now plays down the spray. But Elliott is... He's a big lad, isn't he, to go alongside Lee Gregory for these closing stages. 66 minutes played.
He's always been a handful. I've seen him a couple of times, and his sheer size and presence, make you aware of him. But the game is, nicely hinged, really. Millwall haven't, got a good grip second half. They look a little bit loose still, so there's still a great chance here for Wimbledon.
Still far from safe for Millwall, as they've got this free kick in a central area. Rather than going goal, they've worked it out towards this near side. In it comes towards the far post. Cooper gets his head on that, and it's just wide. Penalty now at Bolton. Will Perry.
Yeah, and it's been missed by Kenny McLean from a Norwich point of view, so it's still Bolton 0, Norwich 4, and it was saved by the legs of Remy Matthews after Teemu Pukki was taken down. But here come Norwich again. Here's Hernandez on his right foot. Just wide of the left-hand post. Norwich running right. Bolton 0, Norwich 4.
Barnsley lead Wycombe 2-0 in League 1, and in League 2 it's Exeter City 0, Bury 1. Bury, who were third. Exeter have won their last two at home. The ball is chipped forward by McLaughlin, headed away though by Romeo, and the orange shirts of Millwall still leading by a goal to nil as Elliott just turns away there from McDonald and now comes forward. He's got Jed Wallace on the outside, level with the penalty area. Jed Wallace with a cross, trying to pick out Shane Ferguson. It was an important header away by Toby Sibic. Picked up on this near side now by the substitute Conley. Head down, running forward into the centre circle. Wordsworth now takes over, controls the ball, lays it out towards that far side and invites McDonald to come forward. McDonald now finds Pinnock. Pinnock on that left-hand side. It's a deep cross into the penalty area, and it'll back header away there by Murray Wallace, because he didn't really quite know where Falevi was behind him. Falevi keeps the ball in play, helped out by McLaughlin. Right hand side for Wimbledon, crosses towards the far post, headed away by Alex Pearce, drilled back in by Wordsworth, turn and shot by Bartram, and all of a sudden it's Millwall who play the ball out towards that far side, the right, and then just stretching into that challenge was Wordsworth to give away the free kick for Millwall, and that might well be a yellow card as well, and indeed it is from referee John Moss.
The game should have been settled actually about a minute ago from that free kick. It was played out wide, deep ball to the far post where Cooper, who was 6'5" of him, perhaps should have scored. And from there, Millwall had a couple of decent attacks, and as I say, it's very, very evenly balanced. If Wimbledon can keep this tight to the last 5-10 minutes, could be interesting.
Because you would think, wouldn't you? We're midway through the second half now, so there's still plenty of time for the League One side. They're going to fashion one really good opportunity, you would imagine.
Yeah, and Archer, I think, has done well in goal for Millwall today. Every cross he's come and taken, and apart from his kicking, which obviously we spoke about in the first half, he's looked comfortable, but yet to be threatened really. So let's see how Wimbledon conjure up something.
His kicking was a little wayward, should we say, in the first half. Elliott hooks the ball towards the edge of the penalty area towards Gregory. Nightingale's going to turn for Wimbledon. Gregory looks to close him down, keeps the ball in play. Shaven-headed Conley went to ground. Referee gives the free kick. Tried to let the game flow, but there wasn't really an advantage there for Wimbledon. They'll take that free kick quickly. McLaughlin tries to play it over the top, straight onto the head of Alex Pearce. Headed away then by Murray Wallace. Comes out towards this near side. Strokes in field by Wordsworth. And now McDonald's on the ball on that far side. Wimbledon trying to build up a head of steam as they trail by a goal to nil. The bottom of the table League One side. Here is Falevi. Bartram's coming into the penalty area. Taken out from behind. Surely a penalty. Offside. We can't actually see the assistant flag on this near side because the Wimbledon supporters have all risen to their feet. But had it not been offside, that would have been a clear penalty, as he had his legs taken out from behind him. And from the neutral, I've got to say I'm disappointed, because you just want Wimbledon for the story to get the goal and to keep their hopes alive.
Well, I suggest you have nothing to eat around Millwall area this evening, but certainly that looked like a penalty. But you know, I'm not sure. There was some stat about Wimbledon getting penalties. I don't think they've had many, bless them. So that kind of sums up their luck around penalties.
Their last penalty was April of last year. Dean Parrott scored it in a 3-2 win at Walsall, but it is it's one of those subjects that you don't like to talk around Kingsmeadow, because as you say, they just don't get penalties, and they've had a few appeals this season.
Well, you asked that fan earlier, and it took him 18 minutes to describe the penalty they should have had last time at Coventry.
Yeah. I wished I hadn't asked. Yeah. Carlisle United 1, MK Dons 2 as the latest score in League 2. St Mirren are back in front at Aberdeen in the Scottish Premiership. And you're up to date. And we've got 19 minutes remaining. Cooper heads the ball away. Try at Saracens. Rob Vickerman.
We've finally got a bit of life into this. Just 13 minutes remaining. The score now is 18 points to Saracens, 10 to Leicester. Really was a forwards effort. The big men took hold of the game. The Saracen screw about to turn. It's 18 points to Saracens, 10 to Leicester.
Commentary continues on 5 Live Sports Extra. This is 5 Live at Kingsmeadow, where that Murray Wallace header in the very early stages separates the two teams. Leonard charges down the clearance, bounces on to the corrugated roof on that far side and bounces out of play for another throw. In it comes. Wimbledon playing from left to right. They're going to take it. Down the line it goes, flicked on by the substitute Pinnock, cleared away then by Pearce. He was part of the Reading side that reached the semi-finals 4 years ago when they lost to Arsenal after extra time at Wembley. For Levy now, down the line, cut out though by the aforementioned Pearce once again coming forward. Williams trying to turn away from trouble. Pinnock will put pressure. Cooper hoists it long downfield. Nightingale up against Gregory, runs away off. Well, I thought it last touch was off the shoulder of Gregory in that duel with Nightingale, but the referee says instead it will be a throw to Millwall. And there are no other goals to tell you about, but we've got 17 minutes remaining. Murray Wallace is going to pick up the ball on this near side. It's only their second FA Cup fixture in 14 away from home. They've lost their last 4 away on the road of Millwall. Maybe not so today. And should they get a home tie in the quarter-finals in that raucous atmosphere at the Den, then nobody would relish a trip to that part of the capital. It can be extremely intimidating. They can make a real din, can the Millwall supporters, as they proved against Everton in the last round. Wimbledon, though, are still in it, trailing by a goal to nil. For Levy, now leaves it to Wordsworth. McLaughlin can't get past Williams, comes to Gregory, laid back then by the tall figure of Tom Elliott. Back with Leonard, opens it up towards the far side, the right. Jed Wallace midway through the Wimbledon half, head down, comes forward, level the penalty area. Jed Wallace has carried the ball, plays it in low. Oshilaja will clear. Plenty of up rather than away. Pinnock will try and come back inside his own half. That was a hurried ball. Wordsworth has sliced it, comes back to Williams for Millwall, who's going to shoot. Saved by the goalkeeper, beats it away, pushes it out towards that far side, the left. Gregory back Penalty area, good header away, and the referee will give a free kick in favour of Wimbledon.
Well, I'm not sure if that was Nightingale on that header, because that was an outstanding header. It's kept Wimbledon in the tie. Great shot from the edge of the area, good parry from the goalie, but the cross from Gregory, who's been a handful for Wimbledon today. He's non-stop, put a great ball in, and as I say, Nightingale done brilliant to draw the foul and get that away.
Here is Wordsworth out towards McDonald. McDonald over the halfway line for Levy, cleared by Millwall, loose ball picked up by McLaughlin in the centre circle and marked. Out towards Connolly on the right hand side, up against Murray Wallace, tries to cut past him. Referee's assistant has waved his flag and Murray Wallace might be going into the book here. He's shown a yellow card. Is Murray Wallace. Talk about set pieces, this is one to really put in the mixer, Alan.
Yeah, Wally used to do set plays for me when I was at Southampton, and he always had good imagination, good ideas, so be interesting to see what comes from this. It's a great position. It's just level with a 6-yard box, but obviously on this right hand side.
So Wimbledon playing from left to right. Pinnock is going to take it on this near side. Wordsworth is in there. Nightingale too, trying to lose his marker. On the right hand side, it's going to be delivered left footed. It's going to be an in-swinger. They played it in low, cleared away by Tom Elliott at the near post. I don't think many people were expecting that one to come in so low. Fizzed in, hard, corner kick, which Pinnock will take once again. Did with his height inside the penalty area. Pinnock to take it towards the far post. Jordan Archer, too easy for the keeper.
Yeah, he's done that all day. Whether Neil Harris has given him licence to come and get those crosses, because every set play he's come and diminished the issue.
Long clearance downfield with the aid of a deflection in towards Gregory. Challenge comes in. Good goalkeeping quickly off his line as Gregory was denied. And now all of a sudden it's with Nightingale out towards this side. Connolly flicks it forward. Wordsworth going on ahead of him. Will he keep the ball in play? Yes, he will. Holds it up. Now out to McLaughlin. McLaughlin waits. Diagonal ball infield. Wordsworth back to McLaughlin once again. Nobody making a run. So in the end they have to play a diagonal ball towards Bartram. Bartram brings it down off the chest. McDonald joins the attack. Pinnock now coming in off that left touch line. Crosses the ball into the penalty area. And it was an aimless ball off the outside of his boot that just runs out for a goal kick.
You know, sometimes when you're obviously chasing the game, you're going to be caught at the back, and they was there, Wimbledon. But they've really defended well, the defenders. They've been a real test with the strikers of Millwall, and they come up tops there when they was up against it. Could have been 2-0 to Millwall, but some really, really sound defending.
13 minutes remain of normal time. Lincoln City 2, Stevenage 0. This is the second commentary of the day here on BBC Radio 5 Live, and Millwall now with Leonard running into trouble for Wordsworth. Wordsworth then is caught. Our next commentary is at 5:30. Newport County against Manchester City. Newport County, who began against Met Police in this FA Cup competition, and ready to take on the boys in blue, albeit sky blue. John Murray.
Even I've played at Met Police.
Very good. Well, I've had nothing to do with the Met Police ever. As for the team news here, the Newport manager, Michael Flynn's, picked the same team as started against Middlesbrough in the 4th round replay, so that's very straightforward. Pep Guardiola is as good as his word, and although he's made 7 changes, he's named a very strong team, which includes David Silva, Fernandinho, Mahrez, Sané and Gabriel Jesus, amongst others. Very strong bench as well. Aguero is the only fit frontliner who gets the day off, so good luck Newport.
Well, when they started off against Met Police, I wonder if not many would have envisaged taking on Manchester City and their superstars in this year's competition. It's a tie that we'll listen to on the way home. Kevin Kilban joining John Murray. And just imagine if they were to pull off an upset, it would be huge.
Yeah, it was just interesting to listen to John and say, they picked a strong team. I mean, his third team is a strong team, and they've got the best kids in the country, which they purchased about 3-4 years ago. So they're sitting pretty well, Man City. They're one of those new super clubs that, going down to Newport would be some story if they could get any kind of result there.
I thought you were going to say it was interesting that John Murray's had nothing to do with the Met Police. Here is Ferguson, midway through the Wimbledon half. On the overlap, Murray Wallace not required. Goes in field to Williams. Gregory now with his back to goal. Shane Ferguson coming forward for Millwall. Opens up a little bit for Ferguson. Threads it into Gregory. Gregory into the penalty area. Cuts it back. Leonard is there. Straight at the goalkeeper. Comfortable save. Still, they just can't get that second goal to put this tie to bed. As Romeo wins the ball in the midfield. Romeo still going, coming forward the right back. Millwall in all orange, playing from right to left. And he drifts out towards the right touchline. Behind him, Jed Wallace. Jed Wallace with the cross. Gregory with a header. Drops wide. Goal kick, 1-0 Millwall.
Yeah, the game is opening up a little bit. For the first time, there's kind of spaces appearing, and Millwall look like they've got the second goal here in them if they can just finish off one of these chances. Gregory perhaps should have done better there, but he's done really well, Ramsdale, in the Wimbledon goal. He can be very proud of his performance, whatever the score.
Yeah, they've had more opportunities in the second half than they actually created in the first, have Millwall, as Morecambe lead at Port Vale by 1-0. MK Dons now a 3-1 up at Carlisle United. Coventry City 3, Walsall 0. And you're up to date on 5 Live and the World Service. But they're still in it, Wimbledon, with 10 minutes remaining. And then, after a mini sports report with Mark Chapman, to Newport County against Manchester City at 5:30. They've beaten Haringey Borough of Wimbledon, as well as West. The London side, a fellow London side, because Millwall, who were never going to be complacent, they just don't do complacency, Millwall. With Neil Harris, they would have not come here and had a sloppy attitude or anything like that. Going to dig in and get the job done, and that's exactly what they're about to do, unless something dramatic changes in the next 9 minutes or so. Ramsdale to take the goal kick for the League One side. Headed away by Murray Wallace. Down into the ground by McLaughlin. Helped on by Pinnock to Falevi. Can he feed it into the path of Bartram? Yes, he can. Bartram left-hand side of the penalty area. First-time cross cleared away by Leonard. Maybe required a little bit more composure in that penalty area for AFC Wimbledon. Out of play it goes for a throw. Taken by McDonald. Get another throw about 10 yards further down that very small touchline that only runs to the edge of each penalty area. They'll be glad that it's dry for those who are not got to stand above their heads as they watch on, right up against the tiny stand. Pinnock with a throw, a long looping throw. Ferguson almost got stuck underneath his foot. He's going to bring the ball clear, still being penned back, and in fact the way that he hopped away in despair, he knows that he's running out of play for a throw. He's put his side under a bit of pressure here. There's another long one going to come in, Alan.
Yeah, long throws, free kicks, keep the possession down in that half for the last 5-10 minutes. Who knows?
So Pinnock with the throw on that far side, the left to McLaughlin. AFC Wimbledon looking for an equaliser. In comes the cross, headed away by Williams, brought under control. This is McLaughlin. McLaughlin goes square, opens it up, bit of space here for Connolly to finally control the ball. Connolly with a cross, takes a deflection, and that was a player's gone down with a boot in the face. It's Ryan Leonard, I think, who's taken one in the face from an outstretched boot by Sibic. It was accidental, but there'll be a stoppage in play. And that means we can go to Villa Park and Pat Murphy.
It's still 2-0 to West Brom, and they're defending this lead with a degree of comfort which isn't normally their style. They do have defensive frailties, but apart from Elphick hitting the top of the bar just after half-time, Villa have not really threatened. Villa 0, West Brom 2.
Peterborough United are leading at Oxford United by 1-0. Oxford have only had one win in their last 12, and it looks like Ipswich will be in League One next season. Certainly a bleak outlet. Sahel Sahi.
Yeah, very much so, Ian. 8 minutes to play. Ipswich 0, Stoke 1. Lots of huffing and puffing from the home side, but no real quality. Ipswich 0, Stoke City 1.
Ferguson with a cross, acrobatic clearance away by McLaughlin. Comes out towards Leonard, who fires it in. He was appealing for a corner, and the referee's given it. Corner kick to Millwall will quickly nip to Aaron Paul at Fleetwood.
Fleetwood 0, Luton 2. The visitors still leading through goals from Moncur and Ruddock. Wallace has gone close for the host, while Ollie Lee could have wrapped it up for Luton. It's still Fleetwood 0, Luton 2.
Mick Harford celebrated his 60th birthday in midweek, a belated present for the big man as they continue to set the pace at the top of the table. Corner kick for Millwall, taken by Williams, and it drifts straight out of play for a goal kick as Aberdeen have equalised for a second time this afternoon at Pittodrie. Aberdeen 2, St Mirren 2. Into our featured game at League 2, Boundary Park. John Akers.
Nervous last 6 minutes plus stoppage time for Paul Scholes. It's Oldham 1, Crewe 0, but Crewe are pressing for an equaliser. They're 6 unbeaten, but Oldham still leading by that goal to 0.
And a try at Saracens, Rob Bickerman.
Well, it's getting really tight now. It is just 2 minutes remaining in this game. Saracens winning 28 points to 10, Leicester Tigers, but it's all about chasing that fourth and crucial bonus point try, which would put them top. It's Saracens 28, Leicester 10.
Wimbledon are chasing. They're chasing an equaliser. Connolly on the right-hand side, Civic behind him. McLaughlin helps out. McLaughlin crosses edge of the area. Wordsworth let it run through. Cleared away by Pearce. Picked back up by Nightingale. Time running out, though, for the League One side. Into the penalty area it goes. Might break towards Wordsworth. He drops. No penalty appeal. Waved away by referee John Moss. Now up towards Gregory on the counter-attack. Oshilaja deals with Lee Gregory, who goes back in search of the ball. Nightingale to McLaughlin. Gregory still putting him under pressure. Early ball played forward, but there was nobody there, and through towards Jordan Archer.
That's what he's done all day, Gregory. He's chased everything up the front, in terms of offensive play, and then when the ball's turned over, he's really closed Wimbledon's back four or back three down and forced them into errors, and that's why they've not built up any play. I mean, to be fair to Millwall, second half they do look like a championship side against the League One side. They've just been a little bit too clever, a little bit too strong. So, Wimbledon hanging on here and hoping that they get something at the death.
Jed Wallace out to Ferguson on the left-hand side. Jed Wallace and Ferguson continue to combine passes. Back with Murray Wallace, the goal scorer. On this near side, the left, all in orange, playing from right to left. Ferguson looks to come on the inside of Civic. Creates the opening for Murray Wallace. Comes forward now on the overlap. First time cross into the penalty area. Chested away by Oshilaja. And we've got 3 minutes of normal time remaining. Can they get the equaliser to force us into extra time? Cut out by Jed Wallace. Runs forward. Jed Wallace is going to go all the way through. Goalkeeper Aaron Ramsdale quickly off his line. Good anticipation again from the young goalkeeper.
Yeah, obviously he's one of our hopes for the future in terms of England goalkeeping. He's been superb today. He really kicks it well, but his goalkeeping work has been excellent, and the reading the situation there, because Jed Wallace was right through if he hadn't intercepted.
He's only 20 years of age. Bournemouth signed him a couple of years ago from Sheffield United for about £1 million. As Wimbledon, with time running out, 3 minutes of normal time remain, still trailing by a goal to 0. McLaughlin plays it forward, headed away by Alex Pearce, easily headed away too. Bartram, back with Wimbledon it goes. McDonald's first time cross from the left hand side, it might reach Connolly, and inside right channel of the penalty area, 8 yards out. Connolly right footed, puts it well off target for a goal kick.
Well, the big centre back went up there to put a fantastic ball in, probably the ball of the day, De Bruyne like in terms of pace, and unfortunately Wimbledon couldn't get on the end of it. But you're always in the game at this, 1-0 lead is not enough, and as dominant as Millwall perhaps have been second half, you're still vulnerable, and Neil Harris will know that, and he'll be a little bit nervous over there.
Well, particularly away from home, they haven't had a good record this season. They've only had one victory in their 15 away matches in all competitions, and that was at Ipswich, bottom of the table on New Year's Day, as Ramsdale gets plenty of height on that long clearance, headed on by Pinnock. Behind him is Falevi. Man over is Bartram on the left-hand side. Wimbledon are still threatening. Bartram on the left, plays it in low, goes behind for a corner kick. 2 minutes of normal time remaining. Well, they've got spirit, if nothing else, this Wimbledon side.
What a shame they ain't got Big John Fashional or Eric Young to put in the box. They're not a big side, Wimbledon. So, even though they're winning some set plays, you worry that they haven't got enough height to be a threat. So he'll be looking for numbers, I think, Wally, in the box here. Just throw a few more in there and see if he can create some confusion.
Pinnock with a cross, and the header from Wordsworth drops over. But you look in that penalty area and you've got Elliott and Cooper in particular who stand out, very, very tall players for Millwall. And you talked on how you pull some of your praise for them in this second half. They're a streetwise side, aren't they, Millwall?
Yeah, and when you're in the Championship, you've got to have a side that can deal with set plays, because the quality of set plays in the Championship is probably higher than the Premier League. So you have to be really strong in that area, and Millwall are. There is no weakness in terms of set plays. But Wimbledon are still going.
And they're coming forward again with Falevi. Out towards Bartram. First time cross from the left-hand side. Leonard, though, dropping back on the edge of the area. Puts the ball out of the ground over on that far side. And out for a throw. And by my watch, we're now inside the last 60 seconds of normal time. Commentary coming up from Newport County against Manchester City with John Murray and Kevin Kilban. There will be a mini sports report. Pinnock with a cross into the penalty area. Murray Wallace on the cover this time, heads it away, comes back to Simic, hit it first time on the half volley, left-footed. Could see what he was trying to do, but again it was off target. Goal kick. Alan Pardew.
You know, they've been spirited, Wimbledon. You can't fault anyone. Now it's a bit too much quality today. They look like seeing this out, but you never can write it off, of course. But they've done well second half, especially Millwall.
To find out how much added on time there will be, because by my watch the 90 minutes are now up. Number of substitutions, you'd be looking at least 3 minutes of added on time, a minimum, of course. Wally Downs, who said that AFC Wimbledon have been making history with every round, and in fact it is the 3 minutes of added on time which we're now into. They've created many a memory. For the first time in their 17-year history, AFC Wimbledon are in the 5th round. Could it be extended by an additional 30 minutes of extra time if there was to get an equaliser? It's got to be settled on the day. They've got a free kick. It's an in-swinger from Pinnock. Crowded penalty area, cleared away by Tom Elliott back there helping out for Millwall. Headed forward then by Bartram. Up now towards Gregory. They'll hold the ball up, prods it back. Williams then plays it forward. Jed Wallace making a run through the middle. Flag stays down. Jed Wallace is here. And great recovery from the substitute Pinnock, who matched him stride for stride. And a well-timed challenge inside the penalty area behind for a corner kick, because otherwise Jed Wallace is in on goal.
I mean, he must have recovered 60 yards there from Wimbledon's set play to defend that situation, and he's a striker. I mean, that just goes to show the kind of commitment they've had, Wimbledon. They just need that quality, and now, of course, running out of time. Millwall the corner, deep in this left-hand corner.
Lincoln City 2, Stevenage 1, Carlisle United 2, MK Dons 3. Two latest scores in League 2. No surprise to see Millwall take the corner short on this near side, but they've lost it now, and Civic will clear long. Pinnock chests the ball off to Connolly, still midway through his own half, loses out to Leonard. His former club, Southend United, pulled off a terrific fight back against Portsmouth earlier in League One. 3-0 down, but Chris Powell's side fighting back to 3-3 in the early kickoff. Now with Elliott on this near side, shielding the ball away from both Civic and Oshilaja on this near side. Referee John Moss will give a free kick to Wimbledon. 60 seconds remain, and a substitution is going to be taking place now for Wimbledon. For Millwall rather, and it's Gregory who's going to be going off, who's worked hard. You wouldn't have known he was a doubter this game with a calf problem that he picked up against Sheffield Wednesday in midweek. His work rate's terrific, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, you know, look, this type of game, usually your man of the match is a defender, but blimey, he must come close, because he's not stopped working today. He's done a real shift here, and the kind of attitude you need if you're going to come away to a League One side and get a victory. So well played to him. He gets my man of the match as well.
Now the thing is that substitution, the officials would have added an extra 30 seconds at least on for that. Sean Hutchinson has come on to replace Gregory, so it's a defender coming on for Lee Gregory, who's led the Millwall line. Millwall not hanging on, but they've just got to see out the closing minute or so in this 5th round tie for yet another FA Cup quarter-final. And it would be their 3rd quarter-final in 7 years, which is a fantastic achievement for Millwall in itself. Goes long to Wimbledon, flicks on then by Falevi, comes towards McLaughlin, spreads it out towards this right-hand side. Connolly, the substitute, can't get past Murray Wallace, and it goes out of play, and it will be a Millwall throw. And by my watch, we're almost out of time, because the 3.5 minutes we've already used. John Moss is just having a word with Jed Wallace. Another glance at the watch. Millwall have a throw deep inside their own half. Goes towards Elliott, heads it on. Is there still one last chance for Wimbledon? Put forward by McDonald, headed away by Williams. Still the referee isn't going to blow his whistle. Now he is, and Wimbledon's brave FA Cup run comes to an end, and Millwall, in an attritional game, go through to their third quarter-final in 7 years, courtesy of Murray Wallace. Before we get Alan Pardew to sum up, there's been a goal at Portman Road, Sahel Sahi.
And a late equaliser for Ipswich. It's Ipswich 1, Stoke 1, straight from the corner kick. It was Will Keane with a header 3 yards away. Ipswich 1, Stoke 1.
And a late goal at Boundary Park, John Akers.
And it's an equaliser for Crewe. Oldham 1, Crewe 1, George Ray in the 3rd minute of added time after a scramble. 1-1.
Alan, Millwall deserved winners?
Yeah, deserved winners. I mean, you come to this fixture and I think everybody comes out of it with honour. I thought the crowd were exceptional. Millwall fans behaved themselves and the two teams put on a committed display. It wasn't pretty. I mean, there was some decent bits of passage of play, but some good performances, and particularly Millwall in the second half. They showed their championship pedigree, really. They were strong enough at set plays. They were composed at times in midfield, and perhaps should have added a second if it weren't for a very, very bright young goalkeeper that they have here on loan from Bournemouth. It might have been, but I think Millwall deserve to go through. I don't think anybody in the FA Cup draw will want them away, but possibly if you get them at home, you would be happier. But good job today by Neil and his team.
Thank you, Alan. Full time then here at Kingsmeadow. AFC Wimbledon 0, Millwall 1.
The National League leaders Solihull Moors have grabbed a late equaliser at home to Barnet. They have been 2-0 down. It's now 2-2 into the Championship, and Juliet Farrington has seen a comfortable win for Sheffield United.
So easy, Mark. Freeman and 2 for Medina in the first half. It was 3-0 at half-time. Their fourth came with the help of a massive deflection early in the second. Fleck popping in a shot from distance. Keeper wrong-footed in front of the Kop. Bit stop-start after that for Reading to sum their performance up. Lewis Baker forcing Dean Henderson into making an actual save of the game with just 4 minutes to go. Comfortable 4-0 Sheffield United win.
Late goal at Fleetwood, but I think it's come too late for the home side. Aaron Paul.
Yeah, Paddy Madden with the late finish for Fleetwood. It looks like a bit of a consolation, but no doubt Joey Barton's side will go on and try and push for a late equaliser. Fleetwood 1, Luton 2.
17 for the season for Fleetwood's Paddy Madden. Now back to the Championship. No goals at Deepdale for Damien Johnson.
Afraid not. Nobody able to break the deadlock at Deepdale in this battle of the playoff chasers. Costel Pantilimon in the visitors' goal produced 2 point-blank saves to deny Brad Potts. Forest had 2 goals, or 2 efforts at least, disallowed. Lewis Graben and then Joe Lolly, who thought he'd won it late. 0-0 it finished.
So into the FA Cup quarter-finals so far, we've got Brighton and we've got Watford and we've got Millwall, and still to come this afternoon, Newport County against Manchester City from 5:30. Back to the Championship. Will Perry at Bolton.
Bolton 0, Norwich 4. It's finished. The perfect response from Daniel Farke's side after their midweek defeat down the road at Preston. They go top of the Championship. Their star man Pookie put them in front with a naughty little turn and finish. He then set up Stiepermann to slot in number 2. Buendia turned in a third in the first half. Pookie then brilliantly brought down the ball, a long ball from Zimmerman to lob the keeper for number 24 of the season for him, before McLean had a late penalty save for the visitors. Bolton 0, Norwich 4.
Ipswich grabbed a late point at home to Stoke. Sahel Sahi.
Yeah, Ipswich with a late equaliser in the 92nd minute, denying Nathan Jones a first away win as a Stoke manager. James McLean 3 minutes before half-time, stealing in after a defensive mistake, exposed the Ipswich goalkeeper, and then late on Will Keane with a header from a corner kick. Full time at Portman Road. Ipswich 1, Stoke 1.
Earlier in the Championship, Rotherham 2, Sheffield Wednesday 2. Wednesday scoring in the 10th minute of second half injury time, then having Fernando Forestieri sent off in the 11th minute of second half stoppage time. 3 points for West Brom this afternoon in a derby. Pat Murphy.
39,263 saw West Brom win 2-0. Robson, Kanu and Jay Rodriguez just before half time gave them the cushion, and they defended solidly and intelligently. They huffed and puffed. Villa. Elphick hit the top of the bar with a header, but that was it. Johnson didn't have enough saves to make. It was Villa 0, West Brom 2.
Lincoln, the League Two leaders, have been 2-0 up at Stevenage, but home to Stevenage. Stevenage have got 2 back. Lincoln City 2, Stevenage 2, and it would be Lincoln's 4th straight draw. To John Akers, who's watched Oldham against Crewe.
Paul Scholes so close to back-to-back wins as manager of Oldham, but a late equaliser for Crewe means that he's got a very different post-match team talk to the 4-1 win on Tuesday night. George Ray it was with the equaliser for Crewe. It had been coming. In the 3rd minute of stoppage time he scrambled home. Callum Lang had given Oldham a first half lead. It finished Oldham 1, Crewe 1.
Elsewhere in League Two, wins today for Notts County, MK Dons, Bury, Forest Green Rovers, Grimsby and Morecambe. All the other games have ended in draws, although they're still playing at Lincoln, where it is 2-2 against Stevenage. That late Fleetwood goal was too late in League One. Aaron Paul.
It was. Fleetwood 1, Luton 2. 2 long-range efforts either side of the break from Moncur, and Ruddock wrapped up the points for the Hatters, who really should have had 3 midway through the second half. Paddy Madden's late goal was nothing more of a consolation, as you said, Mark, as Luton hooked all 3 points, giving them a club record 20 unbeaten in the Football League, and a very happy belated 60th birthday to Mick Harford. Fleetwood 0, Luton 2.
Of the games that have finished, wins for Coventry and Gillingham. The rest have ended in draws, but they're still playing between Barnsley and Wickham. The home side 2-0 up, Wickham down to 10 men, and Peterborough lead at Oxford, but they're in injury time there. Oxford 0, Peterborough 1. 2 more cup commentaries to come tomorrow. Bristol City against Wolves at 1, followed by Doncaster at home to Crystal Palace at 4, and still to come tonight, Newport against Manchester City, straight after Sports Report, which is next.
On BBC One, from the writers of The Missing.
Have you seen her? Have you seen that girl?
I'm Julien Baptiste. Most of my life, I've looked for people who've gone missing.
She's my niece. I just want to know she's okay.
Perhaps trying to find their soul is a stretch too far.
Your niece was a junkie. She made enemies.
The Romanians traffic girls here.
I never expected this investigation would lead to such a place.
You're not safe, Juliet. He knows where your family are.
Baptiste starts on Sunday night at 9 on BBC One.
Good afternoon, I'm Mark Chapman. You're listening to BBC Radio 5 Live at exactly 5 o'clock, and this is Sports Report. No shocks so far in the FA Cup 5th round as Millwall win at Wimbledon and Brighton beat Derby, but we're half an hour away from a match that could provide one of the biggest shocks in Cup history.
Yes, all your Yeovilles and Worcesters, Herefords and Wrexhams of years gone by. If Newport County knock out Manchester City at a raucous Rodney Parade, be in no doubt they'll be able to add their name to that list of the great giant killers of the FA Cup.
Norwich are back on top of the Championship after beating Bolton 4-0. Luton stay top of League One after winning at Fleetwood. Paul Scholes sees his Oldham side concede late to draw against Crewe in League Two. Rangers are held at home by St Johnstone in the Scottish Premiership. England's assistant cricket coach Paul Farbrace has left the national side to take up sports director role at Warwickshire. Saracens are level on points with Exeter at the top of Rugby Union's Premiership after beating Leicester. 7 winners in the day for Paul Nicholls, including the King George winner Clandis Oboe at Ascot, and Laura Muir breaks the British mile record at the Indoor Grand Prix in Birmingham. In the next half hour, we'll be live at Rodney Parade for all the build-up to that huge game. We'll bring you reaction to today's football so far. But first, the classified football results with Charlotte Green.
The Emirates FA Cup 5th round. AFC Wimbledon 0, Millwall 1. Brighton and Hove Albion 2, Derby County 1. Newport County against Manchester City, late kick-off. Sky Bet Championship. Aston Villa 0, West Bromwich Albion 2. Bolton Wanderers 0, Norwich City 4. Ipswich Town 1, Stoke City 1. Preston North End 0, Nottingham Forest 0. Rotherham United 2, Sheffield Wednesday 2. Sheffield United 4, Reading 0. League One. Barnsley against Wycombe Wanderers, result not yet in. Bradford City 0, Plymouth Argyle 0. Charlton Athletic 0, Blackpool 0. Coventry City 3, Walsall 0. Fleetwood Town 1, Luton Town 2. Gillingham 1, Scunthorpe United 0. Oxford United 0, Peterborough United 1. Shrewsbury Town 1, Burton Albion 1. Southend United 3, Portsmouth 3. League 2, Cambridge United 0, Tranmere Rovers 0. Carlisle United 2, Milton Keynes Dons 3. Exeter City 0, Bury 1. Forest Green Rovers 3, Yeovil Town 0. Grimsby Town 1, Cheltenham Town 0. Lincoln City 2, Stevenage 2. Macclesfield Town 1, Colchester United 1. Northampton Town 0, Crawley Town 0. Notts County 1, Mansfield Town 0. Oldham Athletic 1, Crewe Alexandra 1. Port Vale 0, Morecambe 1. Vanarama National League. AFC Fylde 0, Chesterfield 1. Boreham Wood 0, Hartlepool United 4. Bromley 2, Maidstone United 0. Dagenham and Redbridge 0, Gateshead 2. Eastleigh 2, Braintree Town 1. FC Halifax Town 0, Aldershot Town 0. Harrogate Town 1, Ebbsfleet United 2. Havant and Waterlooville 2, Wrexham 3. Leyton Orient 0, Maidenhead United 1. Salford City 1, Dover Athletic 3. Solihull Moors 2, Barnet 2. Sutton United 0, Barrow 1. Ladbroke Scottish Premiership. Aberdeen 2, St Mirren 2. Hibernian 2, Hamilton Academical 0. Livingston 1, Dundee 2. Rangers 0, St Johnstone 0. Scottish Championship. Alloa Athletic 0, Partick Thistle 2. Dunfermline Athletic 1, Inverness Caledonian Thistle 0. Greenock Morton 0, Ayr United 0. Queen of the South 0, Dundee United 1. Scottish League 1. Airdrieonians 0, Brecon City 1. Montrose 2, Forfar Athletic 0. Wraith Rovers 0, Arbroath 1. Stranraer 0, Dumbarton 3. Scottish League 2. Clyde 1, Albion Rovers 0. Cowdenbeath 2, Annan Athletic 4. Elgin City 3, Stirling Albion 2. Peterhead 2, Queen's Park 1. JD Welsh Premier League. Cardiff Metropolitan 3, Llandudno 0. Newtown 3, Carnarvon Town 2. And finally, the New Saints 2, Barry Town United 2.
So Millwall and Brighton are through in the Cup this afternoon. We'll bring you reaction during a mini sports report. But at 5:30, we're going to be at Rodney Parade. Full commentary of Newport County against Manchester City with John Murray and Kevin Kilban. I know you're excited about the game, John, but I know you will have also particularly enjoyed the performance from Goldie Looking Chain 15 minutes ago.
Yes, we were all very much enjoying it. Me, Kevin Kilban and everyone at what is an extremely raucous Rodney Parade, and that was even before Goldie Looking Chain began to do their thing.
Did they play your favourite Goldie Looking Chain track?
They actually only performed one of their famous hits.
Right. Which was?
Well, I think it's one that's been specially written for Newport County. I think it's fine.
As far as the game is concerned, then, it should be very entertaining.
Well, what you have to remember, in the words of Goldie Looking Chain, pitches don't knock teams out of the FA Cup, players do. And the pitch here is worth talking about, because I'm sure that people who watched the replay against Middlesbrough will have seen that stormy, rainy night down here in South Wales when the pitch took an absolute battering. Well, it's a dry evening here, but the pitch is very patchy, and they've been warming up on it now, and it does look very bobbly and very bumpy. So even though Manchester City have picked an extremely strong team and a strong bench as well, of the front liners, there's only Sergio Aguero who's not involved today. This will be a challenge.
Pitchers don't knock teams out of the FA Cup, players do. Brilliant. Let's join our reporter John Southall.
Well, we're just outside the dressing room areas with Mike Flynn. You've handed the teams in, you've seen the City team. It's a strong side, not the shabbiest.
No, it's not. And, I just said then, that goes to show how much respect Pep Guardiola has for the competition, for us as a football club, and for his own fans, because they would have travelled a long way as well, and, they want to see their best players.
And what have you said to your players?
Go out and enjoy it. Go and be yourselves. They've played against good teams here in the past and caused them problems. The Leicesters, the Spurs, the Leeds, the Middlesbroughs. So I know this is a different level maybe, but we're going to give it our best shot.
No fears they'll be overawed by City?
None at all. They're all relaxed in there, and almost too relaxed if I'm honest. So look, it's about the players today enjoying it, and the fans enjoying the whole event, because you can't enjoy days like this, and you never will.
I was just walking behind you when you were coming into the ground. It was like the gladiator coming up towards the stadium. It was fantastic. There's a great atmosphere, isn't there, out there?
Yeah, it is. And look, it's you've got to have belief. You've got to have belief as a manager, because if you don't portray that over to your team, they'll never trust you or follow your instructions. So coming in there, you've got to walk tall. Get your shoulders back and embrace the moment.
Good luck. Can you enjoy it?
Yeah, I'm going to enjoy it. Don't you worry. But ask me about 7:15.
Good luck. Thanks for talking to us. Cheers.
Kevin Kilbane alongside John Murray listening to that. He's saying all the right things, isn't he, Michael Flynn, in the build-up to this?
Yeah, he's actually just come onto the pitch beside us. John Murray alongside me just said they certainly worked the crowd, this Newport team. He's come right out onto the pitch, right pitch side, just in the last little bit of Newport's warm-up, and just to get the crowd riled again before they've gone in. So he is saying the right things, he's doing the right things. One notable thing at the start of this game, though, Mark, is that they've been out. Newport came out about 20 minutes before City for the warm-up, so they were out about 55 minutes before the game started. So I hope they're all right. I hope they don't use up too much of their energy too early on in this game.
Do you think that's too much?
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, usually it's around 35-40 minutes before a game, which is what Man City did. But as I said, they were out a good 15-20 minutes before Man City came out for their warm-up.
OK, we'll be back in Newport in a little while. Newport against Manchester City, our third FA Cup commentary of the day. Our second one ended just a few minutes ago. AFC Wimbledon 0, Millwall 1. I'm delighted to say Wally Downs, the AFC Wimbledon manager, has put the headphones on to talk to us. Afternoon, Wally. Thank you for talking to us.
Hi, Mark. How you doing?
I'm all right. How are you after that?
Yeah, a little bit disappointed. We played well enough and matched them, and it was a close-fought battle.
I was going to say, in many ways, because it was close fought as it was, and you matched them every step of the way, do you feel that you've missed an opportunity?
Probably, but we'd highlighted the fact that they're a very good side on set plays, and it was disappointing to go out to a set play. So, looking back, evenly matched two teams on the day, and if they don't get the set piece, then perhaps it may have broke for us, but there wasn't a lot between the two sides other than the set piece.
What do you say to your players at the end of that and at the end of this cup run with the battles ahead?
Well, I think we were sort of three games away from the cup final, but now we've got 14 cup finals to play, so the target is there. I normally just make them think about winning the next game, but they're not stupid, and it's a case now of every game is a cup final. So we go to Rochdale on Tuesday, back down to earth, but we've got to take the performance that we put in today and the previous one on Tuesday when we played well. We've got to take those two performances, get rid of the disappointment of today, and take them into the next game on Tuesday night and Saturday after that.
Sorry, Wally, go on. I
think that we've got the ability and belief in the team now to go on a little run of games, and we're the only team in and around the bottom six that haven't had that little 3 or 4 game run, and I think the time's just about right for us to get that going now.
Thank you very much for talking to us. Commiserations today, but congratulations on the cup run as a whole. Thank you.
Cheers.
Thank you. Wally Downs, live on Sports Report. The game was watched by Ian Dennis and Alan Pardew. Ian, it was mentioned several times in commentary. It was a real arm wrestle, this one.
Well, yes, I mean, you talk about Millwall and the competition. I mean, no team since 2004 outside of the top flight has won more in this FA Cup than Millwall. They've now reached their third quarter-final in 7 years, and it was a Murray Wallace thumping header after 5 minutes, a gritty contest, the only goal after Wimbledon had hit the post early on through Piggott. Millwall created probably the better chances in the second half, but AFC Wimbledon battled away. They played with real spirit, but just couldn't find that one moment in front of goal, but will still reflect with pride on reaching the first time in their 17-year history.
And in many ways, Alan, what Millwall did today in shutting out Wimbledon is as impressive as beating Everton, given they had to deal with completely different set of circumstances today, and that they were the favourites and they were the ones who were under the pressure, I suppose.
That's exactly right. I mean, Wimbledon give them a game today, make no bones about that, and they had to be on their mettle. And there was only fleeting moments in the game, particularly the second half, where their championship credentials showed, where they showed a little bit more composure at times. But it was a really tough game, and as you say, Neil Harris has set up his team here to be not complacent, to be at the races, and they were, and they competed at every level of the pitch. And for there, as a manager, you go away and say, well, that's a great performance, and different to the winner against Everton, of course, but they're in the hat. And as I said, Millwall, no one will fancy playing them, that's for sure.
Let's hear from Neil Harris then. He's been talking to Kelly Summers.
Neil, congratulations. Safely into the next round. How do you assess your team's performance?
Hard-fought cup win. Ugly at times, some good quality at times. I think if we'd got the second, we'd have gone and got 3 or 4 today. Wimbledon made it extremely tough for us. Spoke to the players, all the cliches about his mentality today, as well as physical battle. I thought today my boys showed a real great character. The calmness they showed at times. Look, we could have been better with the ball, definitely, but cup football is all about getting through to the next round, and for us to be in the quarter-final again, second time in 3 years, I think it's a fourth time in 15 years for our club, and that's a great achievement for us.
It was a huge defensive effort as well, because particularly in that second half, they put a lot of balls into your box.
Yeah, they did, and I think we maybe a little bit better finishing. They might have had a couple more on target, but no, we had to stand strong and defend, and defend crosses and set plays. I said they made it really difficult for us, Wimbledon. But I'm pleased with the character and professionalism of the boys.
That was Neil Harris after Millwall won at AFC Wimbledon in the early game. It finished Brighton 2, Derby 1. This one was watched by Alistair Bruce-Ball.
Derby looked like they might be launching their third dramatic FA Cup comeback from 2-0 down this season, but actually they left that charge a little too late and just ran out of time, with Brighton under some pressure in the closing stages. A rare-headed goal from none other than Ashley Cole gave Derby the spark of hope with 10 minutes to play, but Brighton had the nous and the resilience to see it through in a game they had controlled, with first-half goals from Anthony Knockaert and Jurgen Locadia. So Chris Hughton's team are through to the quarter-finals for the second season running, and if the draw is kind, then who knows, maybe they could even match the heroes of 1983 and make it all the way to the final. Afterwards, these were the thoughts of the Derby boss, Frank Lampard.
Very poor for us in the first half. No urgency, too much respect, too much fear on the ball. And in the second half, the flip side of that, I thought against a team in Brighton who are good at being organised, and they could be at 2-0 down, but we showed urgency, passion, more thrust in our game, and we pushed them right to the end. So absolutely 2 performances from us. The big disappointment is that we allowed them to go 2 goals ahead with a lacklustre first 45.
And you made a couple of, 3 substitutions, but 2 in particular made a big impact. That must be very pleasing.
Well, I am. I'm not pleased that I had to do that, but that something had to be done at half-time. And Ashley Cole came on with his experience, and actually for him, minutes is crucial at the minute, and 90 minutes wasn't right for him because he's not ready for that, so it was really good exercise for him, and he gets his goal. And Jack Marriott offered us more presence up front and some sharpness and touches and a threat around their box to get up the pitch more. So they both contributed, as did Josephson when he came on. So I'm pleased with that. I'm pleased with the second half performance. I'm obviously not pleased with the result, and the lessons from today are pretty clear. If we're not at it as we weren't in the first half, then forget about it. If we are, then we can do something.
Let's go into the Championship now. Norwich have gone back to the top of the table after a 4-0 win at Bolton. Will Perry watch this one?
Well, chappers, we touched on it before kick-off. The transformation of this Norwich team is ridiculous. A shocking start to the season after a forgettable campaign last year. The Norwich board, they stuck with the manager, Daniel Farke, and boy, has this paid off. I can't really think of a better signing than Teemu Pukki. The Finn arrived on a free transfer at Carrow Road after his contract ran out at Bromby at the end of last season. He has 24 goals to his name this season. 2 here this afternoon, both beautifully taken. The first a lovely turn and finish, the second a brilliant bit of control and a lob over the keeper. He also set one up for Marco Stiepermann, and Emiliano Buendia got the 4th goal of the afternoon. Bolton, they were dreadful today. They offered absolutely nothing as their struggles down the bottom of the Championship continue. Their 19th defeat of the season. In fact, Pukki scored more goals than the whole of the Bolton squad combined. All the Bolton fans had to cheer this afternoon was their goalkeeper Remy Matthews saving a late Kenny McLean penalty. And how Norwich were beaten so comfortably at Preston midweek, I'm not quite sure about that one. They're back to the top of the Championship, closing in on what at the beginning of the season looked like the most unlikely of returns to the Premier League.
Will, thank you. So Norwich have 63 from 33. Sheffield United have 61 from 33 after thrashing Reading 4-0. Leeds didn't play today, have 61 from 32. West Brom got a 2-0 win at Villa. They have 57 from 32. Bristol City are in cup action. They have 53, and Middlesbrough, the final spot in the playoffs, they have 51. They play tomorrow. Ipswich got a late equaliser at home to Stoke, but they still prop everybody else up with 20 points. Bolton have 26 after that thrashing at home by Norwich. Rotherham, the other side, in the bottom 3 with 29 points. They were involved in a remarkable game. Finished Rotherham 2, Sheffield Wednesday 2. Wednesday equalising 10 minutes into second half injury time. They then had Fernando Forestieri sent off for going into the crowd to celebrate. Here are the thoughts of Steve Bruce.
You come away with it, you're delighted that you've scored in the last minute, but it just papers over the cracks of, if we're happy to have a performance like that because we've got a point, then I'm sorry, it's not for me. I've got to be brutally honest and saying, we're happy that we've got a point, but we've got to be able to play better than that if we're going to move forward. When you look at it like that, then you're relieved to come away, but we can't be happy with the performance or the mistakes which we made today.
BBC Sheffield's Mike McCarthy then spoke to Steve Bruce's counterpart, Paul Warne.
Well, Paul, I suppose we have to start with the way the game ended. What was your take? They scored at the end. That was probably my take.
And that was the end of that. In League One, Luton have a 6-point lead. They won 2-1 at Fleetwood. Barnsley in second after beating Wickham 2-1. Portsmouth are in third with 60 points, having thrown away a 3-0 lead at Southend. That finished 3-3. Sunderland have 59. They played last night and were held by Accrington. Charlton were held at home by Blackpool and they have 56. And Doncaster Rovers, the final team in the playoff spots, they have 53. But they're in cup action tomorrow. AFC Wimbledon still prop up everybody else. They have 26 points. Then 4 teams are on 33. Bradford City, who drew today, Shrewsbury, who drew today, and Oxford, who were beaten at home by Scunthorpe. Bristol Rovers, the other side, on 33 points, and they didn't play today. Let's go into Scotland. Rangers held at home by St Johnstone. Roddy Forsyth.
Yes, Rangers and Aberdeen reduced Celtic's advantage, but neither's going to be happy with today's work. Stephen Gerrard was without top scorer Alfredo Morelos because of suspension, and the striker's absence was felt in that goalless draw at home to St Johnstone, who had lost 3 times to Celtic in League and Cup in the previous 2 weeks. Aberdeen also drew at home. They had to come back twice against bottom club St Mirren when Ferguson and Cosgrove equalised goals from Nasson and McAllister. That finished 2 each. Hamilton lost 2-0 to Hibernian in Paul Heckinbottom's first game in charge at Easter Road. That was good news for Dundee. They moved ahead of Accies on goal difference with a 2-1 win at Livingston in the relegation dogfight. And tomorrow we'll see Motherwell at home to Hearts and Celtic away to Kilmarnock, where a Hoops win would put the champions 8 points clear of Rangers.
The League Two leaders in England, Lincoln, threw away a 2-0 lead to draw 2-2 with Stevenage, their 4th straight draw. They have 62 points. Bury have gone into second because they won at Exeter, and Mansfield lost at bottom of the table, Notts County. So Bury have 60 and Mansfield have 58. Milton Keynes Dons are 4th with 56. They won at Carlisle. Forest Green Rovers have 54 points after they beat Yeovil today. Colchester got a point at Macclesfield and they have 53, and Carlisle dropped to 7th with 52 points after that home defeat by Carlisle. Notts County and Macclesfield still the bottom 2, County with 28, Mansfield with 29, but Yeovil will be looking over their shoulders nervously. They have 30 points after that defeat at Forest Green Rovers. Notts County against Manchester City on the way here on 5 Live. Away from the football, Paul Farbrace is leaving England's cricket setup to join Warwickshire as